Good morning to the second day of LPMAM live streaming for the open day of presentation of all the professors and the different departments of LPMAM. Yesterday we had a great session, 4 hours long, with all the professors from the classical and opera departments. Today we will present and introduce you the professors from the jazz and crossover departments and supportive studies like business music management. So, without further delay, I pass the words to the president of LPMAM, Mrs. Stefania Passamonte. Good morning, Stefania.
Good morning, Ambra. Thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody to the second day of the live streaming of the open day of the London Performing Academy of Music. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go directly into the LPMAM unique teaching platform that is a bespoke platform designed for teaching instrumental music, acoustic, and it works with a simple laptop and no need of microphone. It also works on a mobile phone and iPad, but the best audio quality, because it's in stereo, is through a laptop. So I'm going to share my screen, and so you will see my guest coming in synchronous. There we go. There. Good morning. Here we have the Dean of Rhythmos and Jazz and Rhythmos, so that is Orphy Robinson, and Giusy Caruso, who is going to introduce us to her very special, unique course in technology and performance analysis. But first, the word to Orphy. Good morning, Orphy.
Good morning. Hi there. Finally to arrive to today where we are here explaining what we're going to do is it's fantastic.
Yes, it's a special day. I hope everyone saw the introduction by Orphy in our very first welcoming video that we recorded back in January when we launched the LPMAM. Orphy selected some of the most incredible and wonderful stars for jazz and Rhythmos. Rhythmos is a unique word that we invented for this new department that wants to open up to all the different styles of classical contemporary music. That means heritage music like the Afro-Caribbean music, the Indian classical music and Indian contemporary music, the African classical and contemporary music. We were going to have South American, Cuban, and so there will be new departments being established while they're growing. But at the moment, basically, we're going to give the tools to anyone who's interested in learning these different types of classical music of the 21st century at the London Performing Academy of Music. Now, our first guest today is Giusy Caruso. Giusy is not in London. Where are you, Giusy?
Hello, good morning to everybody. I'm in Brussels, actually.
In Brussels. Your connection is slowing down, probably because we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So that's putting some extra weight to the connection, but we can still see you well. So in Brussels, tell us what is going to be your course. It's a very special course, unique course that is I'm very excited about, but you can tell better.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I'm very glad and pleased to join the staff of the supportive studies of the London Performing Music Academy with my course and workshop dedicated to music performance analysis and technology. So special thanks to you, our president and director, Dr. Stefania Passamonte. I'm a concert pianist, musicologist and artist researcher in the art science field of music performance studies and human-machine interaction. In 2019, I got my PhD in arts, contemporary music performance practice, by developing a method for music performance analysis, practice and research with the aid of new technologies. So I conducted my PhD at IPEM, the Institute for Psychoacoustic and Electronic Music at the University of Ghent in Belgium here. And I'm still affiliated as a postdoc researcher and also established a collaboration with the Laboratory of Musicology at the University of Brussels. And I'm currently working as an artist researcher at the Royal Conservatory of Antwerp. Today I would like to introduce the theme of my course, Mirroring Creative Lab, by defining what it concerns, how it will be structured, and why it is an interesting supportive study for all the students at London Performing Academy of Music in London. My course offers students the possibility to learn and experiment during their practice a holistic method to monitor their own corporeal engagement related to score interpretation and sound result. For this purpose, the new technologies such as software for video audio analysis, mostly open sources, will be used as augmented mirrors to potentiate self-observation, self-evaluation, and creativity in music practice. Therefore, this mirroring approach, this mirroring method to enhance creativity and performance practice will be structured in 4 modules. The phases of documenting, analyzing, experimenting, and reflecting. So the first phase of documenting, students will be stimulated to learn strategies to monitor their own performance practice by writing score analysis, self-reports, diaries, and systematically use video and audio recording. I will also introduce the use of the motion tracking recording, which is a sophisticated technology based on infrared cameras to capture the movement while playing. Actually, this is the highest technology for motion capture, and this is installed only in some laboratories in Europe, like here in Ghent at the Art Science Interactive Lab. After having introduced these innovative ways to document performance practice, we will go from documentation to the analysis. So the phases of analyzing. And on the basis of performance studies and theories on embodied music cognition and technological application, students will be instructed on how to analyze their own performance by a systematic use of software for video and audio analysis, like Elan, Solic Visualizer, and others I'm currently testing in collaboration with the University of Huddersfield. So, the third phase is phase of experimenting, from theory to practical experimentation. Students will be stimulated for the preparation of their own audio-video recording of projects and their self-analysis. Students will be free to decide a specific repertoire to work with by using this mirroring approach, this mirroring method. And then we will go to the fourth phase, the phase of reflecting on the results of the documentation, analysis, and experimentation. We will discuss together all the strengths and weaknesses of practicing in front of a camera, like performing in front of an audience. So we will discuss the theme of concentration, posture, body movement, memory, stage presence, gestural control, or sound results. We will explore the principle of body-mind connection from the cognitive science, like the concept of embodiment, body awareness, body image, and body schema. Both these theoretical and practical bases will serve also in the perspective of an introduction to artistic research on music performance. So to go to the conclusion, my Mirroring Creative Lab was to complement the traditional instrumental learning, which is mostly based on a passive professor-student mirroring imitation. The students will be stimulated to act as the only protagonist of a mirroring method where the support of technological tools serves to potentiate the development of their own artistic autonomy, identity, and career.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, this is such a special course, and I think it's gonna be so useful for any student from any department to be able to see themselves through technology. The LPMAM wants to be the conservatoire of the 21st century, and 21st century doesn't exist without technology. And it was proven by this incredible worldwide pandemic. And so the technology has actually improved enormously since last year, including, you know, for example, this platform that has been developed for distance learning. And so we will have a technology department that will be creating even more amazing things by putting together the creative mind of our students and our incredible technology partners and professors. Juicy, thank you so much for this presentation. This was so inspiring and interesting, and I can't wait for us to be able to do it, to do the very first classes on these. Thank you, Juicy. All right, now I would like to pass the
Thank you, Stefania.
You're welcome. I'd like to pass the word to Valentina Cerdelli. Good morning, Valentina.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Valentina, are you connected wireless?
To the web? Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
actually, yes.
The connection is a little slow, but it will adjust itself.
Sorry.
Okay, it will adjust itself. Anyway, would you like to tell us a little bit about your course? So Valentina is a classical double bass player, but she actually has a passion for contemporary music. Would you like to tell us more?
Yes. First of all, I'm very excited to be part of this team. I'm just like see a very bright future ahead, despite the pandemic we are living now. But as Stefania said, this is a 21st century academy, no? And we have to go forward with also experimentation and everything, and also with a classical instrument, acoustic instrument. I think it's the same, no? Mm-hmm. We have to upgrade the technology and technique and everything.
Yes.
And speaking about double bass, it's very exciting because we didn't have the same evolution as the other string instruments, no? We are keep searching our identity yet. So the thing I've learned in the past years when I was a student, and actually we never finished to be students.
No.
And it's something that I explore also with my ex-teachers and mentors, just to going forward with the technique and searching my own path. And this is something I think in double bass sometimes is missing, because we always have been taught to stay in orchestra, and that's our only kind of choice, no? And I think it's a pity, because we need to explore further possibilities of the instrument. And I'm not telling that we have to stop to play in orchestra. I mean, orchestra need us in order to exist. But I think to be a complete musician and to be very able to choose what you want to do in life with your instrument, you have to have the possibility to choose. So in my courses, I will just like develop basically and pass by the new generation, hopefully, the kind of strength we need as bass players, and especially also in a technique way, and focus on a chamber approach. Because chamber music, it's very peculiar, I think, as the other string instrument. And even if you want to play in orchestra, you have to be a very strong chamber musician and be conscious about your sound. So I've developed during the past years, even teaching in other academies in Italy and in the UK, a very like step-by-step program that's it's coming actually from the junior department. So I have like program that start from 13, 12 years old guys that want to start to play the bass. till professional levels. And actually everything is focused also to enhance the possibility of each players and the personality of each player. So that is something that it's actually missing in general in the classical world a bit, especially in the double bass world, because we are taught a bit to be a bit shy, to don't show off too much of our personality. And I think this is not showing off, it's just really be confident in the way we would like to play. So basically my course is, of course we will do a lot of technique, because in order to be free on the instrument, we have to know the technique. Technique, it's a tool, it's not the arrival point, it's not the goal. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this is my internet. That's exactly what we need to do and what we want to do. We want to push forward both the classical and the contemporary and the jazz and we believe that the interaction between the departments is gonna make us so much stronger and allow us to get so much richer from the experience of everyone. So you have been doing that already from way before joining LPMAM. So it's great to have you on board, both in the classical department as in the crossover, we say, but it's basically classical contemporary music. So thank you so much, Valentina. Before going to Fayaz, we have Dele Susimi on legendary Dele Susimi on our studio, the Restream studio. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna come back in a moment. So
hi,
good morning. How are you, Dele?
I'm fine, thank you. This is just a test, right?
No, we are live.
Oh, we are live. Oh, I thought it was a test.
No.
Okay, no.
We are live, and we are very happy to see you. And
Yes.
Dele is a legendary artist and professor for contemporary. How do I call the style of your music? You said Afro.
Afrobeat. They're originated by Fela Kuti. Haven't been in his band from my early teens, and
Yes.
Still waxing strong, pushing and making sure the education of Afrobeat is not left out of academia. So, which is this is just a fantastic opportunity, and I'm really, really excited about this because this is new. This is this conservatoire is unprecedented, and it's just showing that technology and imaginative innovation have to work hand in hand, and this is the opportunity to make it work with a team of great people on board. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, when Arfi mentioned your name to join our faculty, he is the dean of the jazz and rhythms, and he's
Indeed.
the one who actually expanded the jazz department to everything. And this is so exciting, and we are gonna be the home here in London of the Afrobeat music. So it's a school that is gonna start with you and is gonna expand. And with many more projects and collaboration that we can produce in the heart of the London Performing Academy of Music. So
Indeed.
A conservatoire that is embracing the music of the 21st century and Afrobeat. It's 20th century going into the 21st already. So it's already classical in a way.
It is. And you see, what I'm impressed about is I've looked at the personnel so far, and it is very diverse. There's a very diverse collective, and with such a diverse collective under the leadership of very broad-minded and open-minded collective of deans, I think there's no way this is not going to be successful. So I'm really quite excited, and well done to your team. They've been working really hard. I can see, I can tell, and yeah, I will play my part.
Wonderful. Well, we can't wait to have many students applying for studying with you, because they will be so lucky. I mean, the idea of Orfi was exactly, now Orfi is on the other platform, so he cannot see us here. But the idea of Orfi was to go to the main people to learn the Afrobeat, the Indian music, the Afro-Caribbean music, and and the Cuban jazz music, from the people who comes from there and who has actually invented the style and were there from the very beginning. So we are starting, and we hope that is going to be a very bright future for everyone to appreciate and love and get inspired by you and everyone in the faculty. Thank you so much, Dele, for joining us this morning. I'm gonna go, actually, because we have here Charlotte, we're gonna just talk with Charlotte super quickly. Okay. And goodbye, Dele. Thank you again. Bye. Charlotte, good morning.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. How are you, Charlotte?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here on this virtual open day and to be part of everything that's happening at the London Performing Academy of Music. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's really, really exciting.
Charlotte is a jazz trumpet phenomenal artist. Let me see. And oh yeah. Brilliant. And funny enough, I actually saw Charlotte performing live at the Pizza Express right before the lockdown last year. And I was so impressed, and I didn't know she would have then joined our faculty later on. And it was you with
Annie Whitehead.
Annie Whitehead. And when Arfi mentioned your name, I was like, oh, but I saw her, and she was phenomenal. So what is brilliant is that trumpet is a beautiful instrument. We have some now fantastic soloist women trumpet player, but it's still considered very much a man instrument. So talking about diversity and equality, somehow we're not trying to tick boxes, but we're born like this, and Orfi had no doubt in mentioning your name and inviting you to the faculty.
Thank you all, and I'm so proud and very excited to be part of this, and it's so refreshing and really diverse, and to be part of this jazz department and to be able to share my passion for improvisation as well as technique, of course, on the trumpet is really really wonderful opportunity. So,
and what is unique of this school, this conservatory, is that because we have this online platform that allow us to play together and to be able to interact as if we were in the same room, of course with the limitation of the internet connection and the fact that we can't be more than people playing at the same time, but that will allow us really to give the freedom to the professors to go back and touring when the time will come, and to be at the top of your game in a way, performing and knowing exactly what's needed every day out there when you are performing and collaborating, recording, and bring your experience to the students.
Oh, definitely, I can't wait. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Please stay with us. We're going to be anyway on live until 3 p.m. today on YouTube and Facebook. But I'm going to go back to the platform to see Orfi again and our new professor. So
lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Audio. Okay, so we are back. Good morning. We have Orfi. Would you like to add something to what we just said to Charlotte and Dele Susini. Harvey, can you hear me?
Okay. From my point of view, I mean, obviously, this way I haven't been able to hear exactly what they've said, but knowing both Dele and Charlotte, who are two wonderful musicians, and I think like everything, I've been cherry picking the people who I consider are the best, and also it's a sort of if I was starting again as a youngster, who would I like to go to really get into the instruments. And as I think it was it Valentina said, technique is not the tool. It's not the goal. Sorry, that the thing is to really enjoy what you do. And all of these musicians and artists and technicians, I love what they do, and I can see that vitality that will take them through from all the way to the end, to always enjoy that music, because if you don't enjoy what you do, you'll be found out as well. So for me it's absolutely wonderful, and to hear them speak about their approaches and and why they do what they do.
Absolutely. Okay, now I would like to pass the word to Fayaz, who is our head of brass at the jazz department of LPMAM. Good morning, Fayaz. We cannot hear you, Fayaz. Maybe you're still in mute.
Can't hear you, Fayaz.
You're still on mute. I think it could be a problem of my on my hand. Although I see you perfectly, Kevin. So maybe it's not my fault. Maybe it's not my internet. You're perfectly fine. So okay, let's see. Now we can see Orphy again. Well, Kevin, would you like to tell us? Kevin is legendary trumpet player. Let's see if Fayaz is back on. Fayaz?
How's that?
Perfect. Now we can hear you. Good morning, Fayaz. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Is everyone all right? Everyone well?
Very good.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. So I've going on about forms of music. I've played so many different styles, from salsa music to jazz funk to soca, African music, all sorts of African music, from South African things to West African, Ethiopian things, the depth of music that we cover in the commercial world is huge. It's a big field, and I'm glad to say that I've spent a lot of that time with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
which has been wonderful, and all the times that we've spent together in the Jazz Warriors. I mean, they were priceless, weren't they?
They certainly were.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, really, for us, and really, I would love to build that kind of thing here in the academy. Would be, so that we're a family, yeah. I was reading on the website, about pastoral welfare, and I'm thinking that this pandemic is really thrown a curveball in our industry, I think getting your head round the thing that you really need to concentrate and work on is key, you know.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the idea of this conservatory is exactly what you said. It wants to be a brand new family, and a family where we share music. And you know, I'm a classical musician to start with, but my dad was a jazz musician, and I grew up listening to Latin jazz. He played with Piazzolla, and you know, my husband used to DJ, and what we hear every weekend is hip hop, rap, old rock. We hear every style. It's incredible, and that's what it is when you have good music. It's good music. There is no difference between classical. It's all commercial because we're all selling it as well.
Yeah.
So there is
Yeah.
so much about putting things into boxes. And what we want to do in the conservatory, of course, you have to have some programs that they need to follow the standards for the higher education to get an undergraduate or a postgraduate diploma. We will be following that. But we will be giving the freedom to all our students to experiment, to taste,
Yeah.
to enjoy. If they want to go, you know, and listen to opera, and listen to musical theater, listen to jazz, to African music, Indian music. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a microcosmos. That's what we, microcosmos of the music of the 21st century. And
Yeah.
this is not anymore new music also.
No.
Because it's something that has been done already in the past century, in the 20th century, and we are going to create new music that will be the 21st century. So we're totally open to these, and I think that will be what our students need to embrace if they want to come and study with us. There won't be any space for someone saying, oh, that's not music, oh, that's not serious music. This is all
Yeah.
very serious. There is a lot of study behind all of it, no matter which
Yeah.
style, no matter
Absolutely.
which language you are playing in.
Yes. You know, the whole thing about focus and practice. You know, hugely important, and I think the lockdown has really brought that forward to me. You know, just being able to really have a think and lock down and do the thing that you need to do. You know, and we all need to do it. You know, so that's very important. You know,
Very true.
very true.
Very true.
Well, Kevin, would you like to tell us a little bit about your background, about what you do? I mean, I know, and I think you're a legend, basically, and we're super lucky to have you, as is Fayez, as is Orfi. I think all the people really that join us daily before, and even the young professors that you just saw talking and doing their pioneering work in their own fields. But let's talk a bit about you, Kevin.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for those very kind words. And yes, it's I'm hugely grateful. Initially very surprised, but I've been put in my place, and now I'm hugely grateful to be invited to take part in this academy. And as Fire said, we're all friends here. And I have, the utmost respect for my colleagues that are present here today. Known them for many years. My career goes back many years. I'm essentially a trumpet player, and there's a bee has just wandered into the room. So excuse me if I just run out screaming any minute. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. So it's not. I'm not deliberate.
Is it a B major or a B minor?
Well, I'm hoping it's B minor. So I'm not deliberately avoiding eye contact. It's just that I have a sense of self-preservation. So anyway, my name is Kevin Robinson. I'm a trumpet player. I'm also an arranger. a composer and conductor. My career spans 40 years and counting. 40 years and counting. And I was initially classically trained, so my initial roots were in classical music. And as a few years after I started playing, which was I started playing around 10 years old.
Wow, you're good.
Exactly, you know, I learn quickly. Yeah, I was first handed a cornet when I was 10 years old. Shut up, Fires. And just maybe a couple of years after that, I was introduced to jazz. I mean, I was taught classically. The approach, my whole approach was towards classical music, which was very focused, and well, everybody knows what that's all about, so I'm not going to dwell on that. So I really started being introduced to jazz as such a couple of years later after that. But that jazz was just basically an 8-bar interlude, which was just made up on the spot by my music teacher at the time, which is abroad, who said to me, just, you know, here's this, play this, 8 bars. So I played it and then said, now play it differently. So I thought about it, played it differently. He said, that's jazz. Okay, perfect.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, but anyway, I'm not going to go through my whole life story, but in echoing what Fires said, the eclecticism, I would say, of my career is just so, it's plain to see, really. I've played in big bands, small group jazz bands. I've played in African bands, reggae bands, jazz funk bands, pop bands, the whole thing. And I even had a resurgence into the classical field when I got a chance to play with Chineke, which is an orchestra here in London. You can go online and Google Chineke. I won't go into the whole thing, what it's about, but that was a wonderful experience. But with all the different genres I've played in, I've also had to arrange brass for them. So I've had to actually, every time I actually have to go into do an arrangement, I mean now not so much, but back in the day when I was just starting, I would have to go online. I'd listen to all sorts of different types of music, specifically the ones I had to do arrangements for, just to get an idea of what it was all about. Now, over years and years of listening to music, different artists, different genres, everything's in there. And so whenever I have to do an arrangement for somebody, everything just comes out. But in saying that now, you subconsciously draw on all of those influences, which makes for quite interesting arrangements sometimes. It's, you know, you can hear a bit of Latin, a bit of African, some funk, real reggae twists in there. So that's basically what I do.
Well, the main thing is that you're not just a trumpet player, as Fayez is not just a trombone player. So when I had to set up the faculty on the website, it was so difficult because I would have had to put you everywhere, basically. So repeat all these images. So who is listening to us right now, the truth is that's why we're doing this open day, so that the professors can talk and explain a bit more. Then what is on the website is just a teasing, so you know there is
a tiny bit. Yes.
Is it like 80 words, 100 words, no more? Sometimes there is the link to the website, and even the website is never giving you enough information, isn't it?
No, it's definitely a one-on-one or face-to-face interaction, which is the best thing, really. I mean, you can read about somebody and study their life or what they've done, but you won't know what they're actually like until you speak to them, you look them in the face, and so this is going to be an absolutely wonderful thing to do.
And last night, actually, we had a brief test before coming in today, and we even managed to play together. It was a bit of a fun because we had some technical, adjustment to make.
Yes.
But that was pretty good. And I don't know if you want to try to play together. You could do it. Orfi, would you like to play? Do you have anything nearby? I know I didn't prepare. You're still muted.
Maybe I should mute myself.
I can just do that. I'm not set up to play. Yeah.
But I see something behind you. That's why I was like, boom.
Oh right. No, I'd have to.
Nah, don't worry.
You'd never hear it.
Yes, yesterday we were I think expecting to because of the auditioning the sound of the audio.
Yes.
So we warmed up, but
Today we have a bee as well, and in
it's
the room.
It's right there. It's right there.
I heard it.
You heard it? Oh my
I
God.
heard it go past because I actually moved here, thinking it was here.
Yeah.
I normally have a bug catcher in here, but hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Right.
matter. Yeah. But yes, fires are not.
You can confirm that we were able to play at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we were. It was good fun. It was great fun.
So.
But getting back to this whole situation, I mean, Fires and I have played in many different bands together. We've toured extensively. Yes, Fires.
No, I was just going to say that playing your instrument is no longer just the only thing. I think we like to cover. We like composing, we like arranging and all of that, but it's so much part of being a musician as well now, And of course, and then there's the whole electronic, the electronic side of it, having to learn all various bits of software, so that you're not bogged down with trying to work something to get an idea down. It's a big thing now.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
No, you have to be a bit of an all-rounder.
Yeah, and of course now with the advent of YouTube and stuff, not only all of that, but there's all the video editing that's thrown into the thing as well. So.
In the conservatoire, what we're gonna do, this is something that because you play commercial music, somehow you've all been in the recording studio, it's part of your almost everyday life. We've seen you in television as well, performing, so how to talk into the camera, how microphone works. You all have crazy interface that we had to. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. How many microphones do you have?
Yeah.
And so
I've got a few.
So I got
loads.
a teeny tiny one that is not even connected today, and I bought it just to have a better quality. So classical musicians, for example, they're completely out of this world. What they do, they work with the room. The sound comes acoustically inside the room. In the concert hall, we adjust depending how big is the concert hall, and normally that's been done by the engineer who, project the concert hall. So we are trying to bring the classical music as well a bit up to date, and we're gonna have classes into music production, into sound engineering, not to make the musicians to become sound engineer, but to understand how to work with the sound engineer when they are asking them, you need to do this and that. They won't be out of, if we are talking a different language. And then as well, we will offer the opportunity to the students, if they love it, because you might fall in love actually with the technology, to then go and progress into that field, keeping music instead in the second place instead of being at the first place. Because often, we all started with the idea of being musician, and then we ended up maybe doing something more than that. So like being a composer,
Yeah.
being an arranger, being a head of department, being the dean of a brand new music conservatoire. I mean, Arfi, you're also in the Ivor Novello board of directors. How many things do you do, Arfi?
Ah, okay, yes.
Who are you, Arfi?
Can be quite a lot.
How
yes.
can I describe who is Arfi? You see what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's interesting speaking about technology, because Juicy spoke about
Yes.
technology and how musicians have to now think 360 rather than
Yeah.
just one thing. I mean, obviously, technology has been a part of music, from whenever. When the saxophone came along, that was new technology. The
Yeah.
valve trumpet, that was new technology. It's always moved on.
Remember the trombone used to be new technology once.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes.
What
Yes.
is this? Look what I've made. Look
Yeah.
at this thing. Wow.
Funny enough,
that is.
I bought the trombone for my uncle, who is hello, Kate, who is super passionate about the trombone. He loves.
I'm very early, but I wanted to try.
He went good. So
Yeah.
we were just talking about the technology, and yes, music today. A musician is not just a musician.
No.
He is a performer and has to know the music industry at 360 degrees, needs to know about copyrights, needs to know when they do a video that they cannot upload it if it's music protected unless they got the license, the arrangement. There is so much that needs to be taught.
But also, in addition to that, a musician these days has to be a communicator, has to be able to deal with people, and be able to, if you're standing in front of a large ensemble, be able to deal with various different personalities as well. So there's all that to contend with. It's not easy.
It's not easy being you, Kev.
I know.
Well,
I have to live with myself every day, I know.
Oh dear.
Talking of which, we have Kate. Thank you for coming early, and that's fine. It's perfect timing.
I just wanted to check it. I wanted to check it all out. To see if it
Well,
worked.
now you're on and you're live. So while you're here, would you like to tell us a little bit about you? So Kate is a jazz cellist, for you, improviser, but you are so much more. Would you like to say that? So as well, I had to put Kate somewhere, and I put you, I think, under string department for the jazz, but you're not just that. So let's talk about you.
Who am I? Okay. Yeah, I do free improvisation. I play a lot in theatre. I do comedy and I involve jazz in that. I do improvisations in my one-woman show using a looper. I get audience members to sometimes shout out any theme, and I have to improvise over that on the spot. And I push myself there. And I trained orchestrally. And one day I woke up and I knew that I never wanted to be a full-time orchestra player. And I said, okay, I know what I want to do. And I just knew I had to use those techniques and take them somewhere else. I did a brilliant postgrad in performance and communication skills where we learned improvisation techniques, which I never knew there was such a thing. I'd been improvising since I was about 7. I'm told to stop improvising. You mustn't improvise,
Oh wow.
and you mustn't do that. That's and it was, I had to suppress it throughout music college, and then there was this postgrad that was making you improvise, so that was like heaven and fresh air. And I learnt a lot there, and I've used it ever since. And I teach my students different kind of techniques, how to follow a pattern, how to develop patterns at blues scales, jazz scales, and how to follow the happy accident. So the minute they go, oh no, that sounds wrong. No, go there, follow it. What's in the woods there? And if you follow it, you never know, you might come to a nice little Hansel and Gretel house of sweets and settle in there. And you might stay there, you might walk away. I think very visually when I'm improvising, it's yeah.
Well, you know what?
Wonderful.
Yes, we're gonna have a department of music theater that's not been published yet on the website, but that's what we're gonna do. And that's not just the musical theater, but it's music theater where we're gonna teach all musicians to be able to walk on stage, to speak on stage, to act, and eventually as well to create their own one-woman show, for example, and to be able to create, you know, their persona, because musicians are performers, they're not just musicians. So whenever we walk on stage, there is always that component of how you walk, how you present yourself, how are you dressed as well, and what do you do while you're playing. You can see with the rock stars, for example, that's very simple. It's intrinsic. I don't know if I said it right. With the characters, you can't be a rock star if you don't decide which type of look you have. Classical music, for example, we all have to have the concept dress. So men normally experiment with longer hair or beard, or but they don't have much space to it. But you know, when you come into
Me and Orphy.
Harvey is experimenting with his beard.
Come on, I've got to do it.
I'm still experimenting.
There you go.
But that's the truth. And you, Kate, you are a perfect example of this combination of your talent as a musician and as an actress and as a writer as well, writing your own show.
Yeah.
Because in fact, Kate and myself have worked a lot over the last 5 years or so, immeasurably, in lots of different sort of surroundings as well. Doing the Astral Weeks, Van Morrison project, for instance, is one of them. There's been a lot of different projects, and I think it's showing the versatility as well, because I think people tend to think of an instrument and think it only belongs in one area quite a lot. So, you know, it's showing that it belongs to everything. You know, it's shaping the sound around us and speaking.
Actually, Orphy, you know, you've hit the nail on the head there, because I had such a problem.
I can hear everything.
Being pigeonholed, and I've always acted. I used to do a lot of acting when I was younger, and I chose to go down the music route, but to me doing my shows like, hey, great, I can involve my acting there. But the real issue was, hang on a minute, I played the cello, but why am I not allowed to do this and this and this and this? Solitude. And then when you do go down other avenues, I always get this, I didn't know, I've never seen cello in that context, you know. It's just a very versatile it's a versatile animal. And feeds.
Well, I always say the vibraphone lends itself to heavy metal music. Bit
of distortion, all things will be fine. You know, Kate, what you were saying about improvisation, and you know, you were told not to improvise. Hello, Kate, can you hear me?
Yes, I think you have a bit of a slow connection,
I can hear you, but
yes.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
The screen is frozen.
Yes. Yeah. So can you? Are you connected wireless? So you need to move as near to the modem as possible, so you get less. You get the stronger side.
I've got sort of full internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but still,
we can hear you.
We
can hear you.
Shall I reconnect again?
That could be good. Yes. So you can click. You can refresh the page. But you know.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah. How are we? I can also see
Dancing,
Shirley
can you hear me?
Yes.
on screen now.
Yes. Why don't we?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Much
Okay.
better, Shirley. Yes.
I'll come back.
Okay. Yeah, she has a very bad connection, and when you have a bad connection, unfortunately, it's dragging down the entire platform. Considering that we're also streaming at the same time, so it's all going.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave, if that's okay.
Absolutely fine. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful. And hello,
been fantastic.
Shirley. I will actually be back in 5 minutes because we have a guest on the streaming platform. Although Kate is back. Okay.
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 Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, Kate, thank you so much for your contribution. That was just perfect. I'm gonna say go pop back to the live studio for a second. I mean, for 5 minutes, and then I will be back here. So, Kate, thank you so much for today. You can stay, or you can just watch us.
Hang on. Shall I come back at the other time I was meant to come back as well?
No, but it's good to have two
it's
cellos.
fine. Yes.
Two cellos
Okay,
is
then
amazing.
let's talk about this then. You know,
I'll
Shirley.
stay anyway, and I'll come back later as well.
Okay. Shirley, to you then. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, take care, Kevin.
Yeah.
Bye, Kevin. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. See you soon.
See you soon.
Absolutely.
All right,
Bye, Kevin.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, Shirley, can you hear us?
You're muted, Shirley.
Shirley? I think we need to
sort Shirley out technically, and then you can.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
I'll see you in a moment. You can stay, but I'll be back in a moment.
Yep.
Okay, so we're back on our live studio, and we have a special guest that is a wonderful composer, Olga Thomas. Good morning, Olga.
Good morning. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. How are you?
Thank you. Seeing you all, I'm always feeling very uplifted.
It's wonderful to have you. We have been talking actually on my radio program, Future Classical Awards. We made a special episode dedicated to the Duke of Edinburgh and to the late Duke of Edinburgh. And we had the opportunity to listen to your wonderful song sung by the brilliant Joanna Forrest, who's gonna join our faculty as well. So Olga is our latest addition to the faculty, and she is a brilliant classical composer, but also classical crossover composer. Olga, would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to join such a fabulous organization, which I truly believe is what we need, because very often we give some academic knowledge. I'm an academic myself. I'm PhD, Doctor of Music, and I graduated and got my PhD from Moscow Tchaikovsky Conservatory. So I am very much academical, but whatever we learn academically never prepares us for the real challenges of real life if you are a working musician. Not just teaching only, it's great to teach, but if you are teaching, being actually active artist, performer, composer, it is completely different. I was very lucky when I studied with a real composer who was not just teaching composer, but mainly composing composer, Edison Denisov in Russia. And he did very interesting thing with, in my case, he told me he didn't want me to turn into cliche with the knowledge which is put through your throat and forced up on you. He thought that I was the way I was exactly what he wanted to be, and he told me also wanted me to have some knowledge, but to remain myself. So we spent a lot of time during our composition classes playing beautiful duets of, let's say, piano duets by Mozart. And he said, that's fine, let's have a good time. So in my case, yes, I do compose a lot of classical music. I would say mainly classical crossover. I was greatly privileged to compose for the royal family, for every event of the royal family. And that, of course, is a great honor, which for me, I cherish enormously, and working for fabulous charity Cruise Bereavement Care, where I'm a resident composer, helping music to cope with whatever it is, including grief, of course, also through the music. And music is always, in any form, a celebration of life and something positive. Talking about your fabulous organization, I really love that we are acting in our profession very active, busy, and we're sharing our life experience. You can learn everything, but it is nothing till you actually do it yourself. And that is what is so special about you. And I do hope that I will contribute through inspiring people by my own experience. I compose mainly classical crossover, I would say, but of course you have to do a lot of proper classical pieces when you do, for instance, music for the productions, because I did a lot of music for the productions. If it is West End Cherry Orchard production by Bill Kenwright, and I have to do music which would be in the style of Russia of 19th century. Obviously, you have to be able to do music in any style if you choose this destination in your work. Or if it is film music, you have to be, what is very important in my field of crossover, when it is to be a team player in a bigger film production. I just heard you are talking about music theater. As a composer for music theater or film, you have to be able not to be just completely focused on your music. Music is a partner, a team player in the production. You have to be able to go in the background and to increase the impact of what is happening on stage. So that is very important thing, I would say, for classical crossover of my style when I do music for the productions. But mainly I'm known for my, my songs or instrumental pieces, which are, we did a lot with lovely Joanna Forrest, which almost has this style, I would say, what I would call my style of my classical crossover type of music. It is a classic, easy, digestible. Classic. And being digestible, it makes people be more interested in more traditional classics. So I think it is a good way to open the door.
Absolutely, is the best way, is the first bridge to be able, to open to a wider audience, to a more diverse audience, to audience from different background and different culture as well, because it's hard, when you're listening to music normally, either you really love it by instinct, or you have something that represents you. And so if you don't have anything representing you in classical music in particular, so it's hard to then ask people to become fan of it. So we need to find a way to talk to them. And I think the classical crossover is the best way to communicate.
Absolutely right. It is a bridge which brings towards very popular and proper classical. And I think these days I notice some hunger for some real features of classical music, because a lot of music these days is more or less rhythm and sound, and a lot of repetitiveness. Sometimes it works brilliantly, but I noticed that there is some hunger for traditional melody.
Absolutely.
In a more sort of, let's say, a Lara theme from Dr. Zhivago, which actually gives the image of the film. And this type of melody, which type of harmony, which is evocative and recognizable, and it brings familiar emotions, let's say, like Nino Rota in film music, Nino Rota Fellini. So I would say that is very much what I see as a very good example, and it's close to my heart.
Well, that was absolutely wonderful. While we have another guest that is wonderful, Satin Singh. Good morning, Satin. And Nick, actually, Nick Potiman joined us again. Hello, Nick. We saw you yesterday, so thank you so much for joining us again today. But I'd like to give the platform to Satin and tell us a little bit about his incredible career.
Well, yeah. Well, long
You-
career, yes. We started when we were very young, yeah. So
Yes.
we're family musicians. My father, he had a band. We came from Africa originally, from East Africa, from Uganda, and my father used to have a television show back in the 1960s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we came over here when we were like of the famous coup, the Idi Amin coup. Remember, we came over in the 70s. In fact, I came over here to see my brother who's studying in Cambridge University at the time. So we came over, me and my mum and my bigger brother, we stayed here. And yeah, so we carried on from there. So and basically my career started from there, from young, really. My father was a super talented musician. He could sing. He could, like, play tablas and play sitar and play guitar. And and I loved classical music, rock and roll. So basically, we grew up in my family house, and then from there, from child, we started playing from when we were about 12, 13. We've done a lot of weddings and traveled around the whole of the UK and so forth. And basically, I started with guitar at first, but then I found, there's so much you can hit with the guitar. So I think, drums was my main thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, we went, basically, we just done a lot of Indian folklore music and a lot of weddings. And then, obviously, growing up, the kind of music we had, we had Top of the Pops in those days. So it's like Indian music and Top of the Pops, so popular music, basically.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that was our background, really, till I was 18. And then, luckily, I went to like a little music course, Southeast London Goldsmiths College, and there, basically, I met some other teachers, like Latin percussion teachers.
Mm-hmm.
A famous percussion who just passed away last year, Robin Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I had a class with him, and and it took him. And so my love affair with percussion started there, really. And and in those days, it's really tough to find good teachers.
Yes.
It's impossible to find a teacher those days. So whatever came to you, you sort of went into that direction. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there wasn't enough Indian kind of guru teachers here. There wasn't no one here basically at that time. So Robin was the closest, and I just fell in love with Latin percussion from then.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took me into his band. That's what happens when you're talented and young. People take you into your band. And you're like the first step, the first, when the other guy got another gig somewhere else, yeah, you were in first. So I got my chance, a little breakthrough, and it just started from there, really. And then a lot of pop music, a lot of Latin music. I love Latin music, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, really just carried on.
The percussion department that the Orphy developed in the jazz rhythms of the London Performing Academy of Music is really big. And what is incredible is that you have experts for all the different styles. That doesn't mean that when you come and study percussion and you want to do jazz percussion in your undergraduate or postgraduate program, that you won't be allowed to study with everyone, actually, so that they can really get the best from. Of course, you will have something that you love the most. For example, something that you're expert in, like the Latin percussion.
Yeah. But basically, we've been looking at a lot of different styles, a lot of from the whole musica latina, from all South America, from Cuba,
yes,
down to Colombia, all the influences into jazz, obviously, from the big band, Dizzy Gillespie days, from the 1930s, from the whole Havana thing, going into the modern salsa, obviously, Latin jazz, and a lot of African influences and Afrobeat, and how basically all the jazz is African music and all the percussion comes from there. But as soon as he went over to the New World, he created his own beauty, Yeah.
Yes.
And things were kept there very special, in a way that today, you know, it's still there. You know, whether some things in African music has been forgotten about, it's been still kept in Cuba alive today. So, you know, so things like that. Thank you for the communist people. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well,
Yes.
I'm gonna go back now. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you, today on our live studio. We're gonna go back to the LPMAM platform, because we have more professors. Today is an incredible day, and we have such you know, a different array of professors join us. Satin, I think your experience is gonna be absolutely unique and precious for all
Yes.
the students.
Just one thing before I go. The
Yeah?
main thing we will be looking at is clave.
Ah,
Clave is something that it's a timeline
yes.
that keeps the whole music together.
Uh-huh.
And so, just a quick note. So I'm just going to give you a little class
Yes.
on how to play rumba
Yes,
clave.
please.
Rumba. This is a folkloric clave from Cuba, and it goes
Yeah.
like this: ba 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 ba. 1, 2, 1, 2, and this. Then you play the drums towards that, yeah.
Yeah.
So the drum goes like this: ba da, ba king, ba ba da, ba king, king king, ba da, ba king. Giddy 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 ba go go ba.
Fantastic.
Rumba clave. So it's all about the clave. Yeah, it's all about the timeline.
Absolutely, and I'm so passionate about the Latin, so I can't wait to actually see you performing again, and that will be even more phenomenal. Thank you so much, and I'll share again my screen.
Bye bye.
From tab, bye bye. Synchronous, and here we go. Hello. Thank you for joining us on the LPMAM teaching platform. Here I can see Shirley that joined us just before we went back to the live studio with Shirley is a cello professor with Kate Short. We got Amar Puente, Heidi Vogel, Byron Fulker, who's sorry. Classical trombone. Before we had Fayette, we have the Ayub sisters. Oh, hello everyone. We need headphones. Sarah, put the headphones on. Mute yourself. Sarah? Okay, that's better. You muted. I need you to put headphones on, otherwise we're gonna hear ourselves twice through your computer. So, Shiri, would you like to talk first?
Yeah, sure. Am I speaking now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name's Shirley. I'm a cellist and pianist and composer and improviser, and I'm going to be offering an improvisation course at LPMAM. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background first, because that kind of goes into all the areas of improvisation that I cover. I started out as a classical cellist, as most string players do, and I then became really interested in jazz, and naturally I went off to live in the Middle East, because it's the obvious thing to do if you like jazz. But I ended up living in Jerusalem for 10 years, where I had the very, very good fortune to end up studying a lot of music from North Africa, the Arabic world, Turkey and Central Asia particularly. And all those musics, obviously I have improvisation as a really central part of them, so that's part of my kind of language and background as well now. And I also studied jazz, so all of that is kind of part of my improvisational soundscape. And I'm also really fascinated in improvisation in classical music, which is something that has sadly declined quite a lot in performance, but it was definitely part of the tradition, and it's really great to go back and sort of try and bring that back to life again. So my course and my approach to improvisation is really to introduce improvisation as a way of thinking and a way of making music, and look at what kind of things you want to do with it.
Wonderful.
and which sort of things that are in and are common to all those traditions. So it's quite easy to link them together and find your own kind of voice and your own way with it. I do. What was I about to say? I've totally forgotten what I was about to say, and while I remember it, I shall waffle for 2 seconds. What I am used to doing is working with people who are already very competent instrumentalists and who haven't improvised before. So I've done a lot of work with people that are just kind of coming to improvisation going, help! And getting you over that initial hump of starting to get into improvising and just having fun with it and finding your way with it. So that's basically what my course will offer. It will cover some basics of jazz. It will cover some basics of Baroque and classical improvisation, and also some modal improvisation, which is something that's really useful in a lot of traditions. That's a kind of overview of what I will be doing. And I can teach you the cello as well, if you wish.
Fantastic, thank you.
I think.
That was absolutely perfect. Afi, did you want to add something about this?
So for me, it's an absolute pleasure to look at this screen at the minute and see so much talent on the screen, and all people that, again, if I was a young musician starting out or an inexperienced, these are the kind of people that I would, absolutely run to, the conservatoire every day to have as much music knowledge and, an enthusiasm as well. Very inspiring.
Wonderful. Well, now we have another unique string, three. So we have, I would like to give first of all the word to Omar Puente, who joined us yesterday super briefly, and today we're going to give you more space to talk about you and the Latin Cuban jazz and your experience as a classical violinist going into this completely different style.
Okay then. Well, morning, afternoon. I don't know how we're going to call it now. It's like yesterday was sunny, today is sunny. The day before was cold.
Yeah.
So I don't know why now, but it's good. It's all good. But first of all, I want to follow what Orphy said. It's a phenomenal team. I mentioned yesterday, I just joined on the classical team just to say hi. I think this amazing team can be really work together. Doesn't matter if you play classical or jazz or whatever you want to play. It's called music.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
It's the same C flat, B flat, G sharp, the same one. The same one that Bob Marley did or monks have put on whatever you wrote there. So, yes, absolutely, it's an honor to be part of the team. Yes, my background is come from back in Cuba. Of course, at the time was influenced with our friend from Russia, so I had a Russian technique to play the violin, which was really good, really, really good, excellent, to put your finger in the right place and all that. So it worked for me. Of course, the environment was the Latin music, Chucho Valdez. Now it's Buena Vista Social Club. Everybody knows Buena Vista Social Club. Musicians like Paquito de Rivera, Arturo Sandoval, D.C. Gillespie, all this era was time when I started the music. Of course, I did all my whole career, the whole course on university, graduate, gold diploma, yeah. On classical music, playing, Brahms, Paganini, Tchaikovsky, and all these geezers, Prokofiev. Yeah, but how I said before, music is more than that. So the improvised music started kicking on me, and I started to investigate and find book, and Mr. Davis came, Miles Davis came. From there I resigned. So, and then Coltrane came, and then before D.C. Gillespie, all this bebop era came to me, and started to create this sound in my mind that was great. Of course, to play the violin on the classical background and go to improvised music, I don't know in the other instrument, but the violin is so hard to do the first step. is about impossible because we used to read music and all that. But they are more than that. So my plan is to show all the young students or any students that can be done. Music is more than that. You have to put your mind, your knowledge, your practice in order to get that. So yes, from there I started touring all over the world, playing Latin music, playing jazz music, Kate's country in 1998, and I have an amazing opportunity to join and play with musicians as Mr. Robinson Orphy, Coney Pine, yes man, with the tour, beautiful.
Yeah.
Robert Mitchell record duet, piano, violin, Jason Jar, Byron, all the geezers. Has been an experience to play, learn, and put your own in any ensemble you put together. I've been teaching at Trinity College for now more than 11 years or 12 years. Been doing some stuff at the Guildhall Conservatoire as an external summit. Been doing workshops not only with the kids, adults, and all ages, all style, all levels. So for me, combine jazz music, Latin music is phenomenal. I know, I believe most people could like to do improvised music on the jazz world and on the Latin world. So if I can have this opportunity to show to, string player, and you can play, I don't know, hang on, you can play, yeah, or that, I believe that can help, and not only in life, because for me, life is improvisation. You wake up in the morning and you think you're going to have a cup of tea, but you can't get a cup of coffee. And from there you have to improvise life. It's a way I say. It's hard to plan, okay, to do that. Something happen, I don't know, the garden cane or the life, whatever, or the delivery, I don't know. You have to improvise. This is my view of the music. So, hard work, have fun, practice, combine, and see the music as a part of your life. So I am, one more time, more than happy to be part of the team. Thank you to invite me to join this amazing team. I'm looking forward to do my really best to everyone. Voila.
Wonderful. That's what was just perfect, and I'm so excited.
Have to be.
As I said, I saw you performing. Someone has the yes, the headphones. Maybe you took off the.
Sorry, yeah, they're off.
So the problem is that because we are streaming live, of course the connection is getting slower on my hand. So can I ask Kate and Shirley, thank you so much for talking this morning, but if you could help us by leaving us so we can make it a little bit lighter. We can be up to 10 people, but now when we're streaming, I guess, because otherwise you can see me moving like strange, and that's not gonna go on the streaming on YouTube. But I was saying to Omar that I saw him performing at the Ronnie Scott, and it was such an exciting concert with this Latin group. And it was so exciting and inspiring that we decided to organize concerts inside the LPMAM campus when we will be able to open it, so that our students from both the classical department and any other department will be able to see these wonderful artists performing live. and they will be able to ask questions directly to them, because there is nothing like when you see an artist like Omar performing live that you can really feel and get all the energy that comes from his unique way of performing. So thank you so much, Omar. Because we have the Ayub sisters and they are string multi-instrumentalists as well, I'd like you to to tell us a little bit as well about your amazing path. You know, you started as classical musicians. We met years ago for the Young Brits Awards that you won, and then your career took it from there, and you will be teaching for us in the crossover department.
Yes, Stefania, can you hear me? Just checking.
I can hear you, but your image is it's low. So are you connected wireless as well?
And we're in the Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
We've
so
got
you
the
need to
signal,
be as near
so-
as possible to the modem if you don't have a cable to connect it, because the fluctuation and the fact that we are streaming is really taking a toll on the connection in general. So
sure, I mean, let's give this a try.
yes,
And
yeah.
if we need
I
to...
can hear you though.
Yes,
so
let's
the
just try
platform
this.
is made
Perfect.
to give the priority to the audio, so that in case there is any problem like this, we can still hear you perfectly. So we're listening.
Excellent. Well, Stefania, we met 2015. It's crazy to think 2015
Oh,
was
wow.
that competition. I was fresh out of Glasgow. I had just graduated from the Royal Conservatoire as a pianist and cellist, and Laura was still a student at the Royal College of Music. And this competition where we met really kind of launched our career into this unknown world, as you mentioned, where we're classically trained and kind of found ourselves in this very, very busy, very interesting music industry where we were starting to then carve out what is our sound, what do we want to sound like, what is our signature, in what felt like a very saturated music industry. And when you're in music college, it's very easy to feel like we're all the same and what have I got to say that's different? And we didn't know that what we were looking for was classical crossover. That was our signature, and it was only after we graduated that we discovered this sound.
Yeah.
And as you say, we started to then create music, our own music, explore writing, arranging, composing. We've always played by ear. It wasn't very much encouraged by our teachers. We were told, learn what you've read and don't try and be clever and play by ear or transpose or that kind of thing. But later on in life, we've discovered that these are really the key skills and the building blocks that can launch you into this wonderful world of classical crossover.
Yes. And, meeting you, having my program on the radio, interviewing so many crossover artists, I know that the crossover is still a very unknown thing. We just talked on the live studio to Olga Thomas, who's as well a fantastic classical crossover composer. She came from the Moscow Conservatoire. She has this incredible training, and then she fell in love with this new type of sound. This is a new type of classical music as well. So we thought, let's give it a proper space in our new conservatory in the London Performing Academy of Music, where students that they are starting as classical or even just as pure jazz, they then might want to experiment and then create something new because they have the desire to do that. So for example, I'm a bit passionate about jazz, rock, pop, opera, but I stay to being just a classical musician because my instinct is to that. That there have been others like you that then experiment with this new sound and they love it, and then you create something even more inspiring and more important that is more true to yourself. So in our conservatoire there will be the space and the tools, the professors for composing, for arranging, for knowing the history as well of the crossover, because there is already an history to it. It's not anymore a new thing that no one knows, but because it's not been shaped yet. People, fall into that, thinking, what is it? Am I a crossover? Who am I? Am I right?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I think for us, it was really liberating to take our interests, and we had many interests. For example, our heritage was a huge musical catalyst for us. We are from Egypt originally, but born in Scotland, and we found drawing inspiration from Middle East music from that region, and again Scottish folk, as well as our just interests and tastes in music like pop, jazz, etc. Being able to draw inspiration from all of these genres, we've found that extremely freeing. Having said that, we've been trained as classical for 10 years before then, and we were learning music that other people had written in a very kind of structured format. To be able to just kind of let go and make any sort of music that we wanted to was just really freeing. And I think Stefania, what you just said, that now you are creating a space where these skills can really be refined, harnessed, and explored further, whereas there hasn't been one yet. And there's still the stigma attached to classical crossover as being this commercial, slightly diluted form of music making. And I think when there is a course in place, it's a real way to really tap into a creativity that is just, and versatility that doesn't exist in other art forms on their own, perhaps.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to give the word to Heidi. Heidi, going back to the Latin music, Heidi is one of the best Latin jazz singer here in the UK at the moment. And Arthur was very excited to bring her on board. So hello, Heidi.
International, not
international,
only UK.
Sorry, international. Hello, Heidi. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been amazing listening to everyone. I'm quite sad that Shirley's left because it just felt so nice to, like you all said, see the screen of all these amazing people in one room. But it looks pretty amazing, and it's been inspiring listening to you all, speaking about your backgrounds. I come from more of a performing background than a teaching background, and my performance background is very much in the jazz world, a lot of background in Brazilian music as well, and I sing a little bit in Spanish as well, so I know a little bit about Cuban music as well, from the vocal perspective, but much more from the Brazilian and the jazz perspective. I'm really interested in helping people to find all of the different colors available to them in their voice, all of the different rhythms available to them in their musicality, all of the different approaches to bringing out what they have inside their soul that they want to represent vocally and musically that they're not able to do, and giving people the tools to be able to do that, to express themselves. I speak to a lot of students about freedom. People talk, I want to be free in the music, but people sometimes don't have the tools to enable them to be free. And that's very much what I'm interested in helping vocalists do, because vocal skill is very important and musical skill is very important, and there are lots and lots of sort of routes and paths that you can take to enable you to find your own voice and musicality and obtain that freedom. I'm also very much interested in helping people to find links to traditions and roots that they might not have been connected to. They have affinity with a certain sound, but they don't know where it comes from. And they might not understand how they can link to that. And there are ways to link to those things. I mean, as we understand it, for example, when you're looking at jazz, it's very important to have your roots in the basic understanding of blues and pentatonics and things like that. So people might have a big affinity but not understand where the forefathers of those things come from. And I'm very much into helping people to connect to those things as well. So I think that my approach with vocalists covers lots of different things, and I like to also find out from each person what it is that they want to achieve, how they think they can achieve it, and how I might think that I can help them to achieve it, and finding a path to help people to find that freedom and happiness inside the music. And that's what I would say I'm very much looking forward to doing. And I think that with all the professors on here, I'm also really looking forward to learning from everyone else their approach and taking that for myself to teach other people with as well.
Absolutely. Well, as we said, as musicians, as performers, we never finish to learn. And it's beautiful that we can learn from each other and we can continue, and to be inspired and create new things as well. So you have an incredible career, and Orphy made a vocal department that is unique and spans from so many different styles, that is not just the pure jazz. And our students will be free to enjoy lessons with everyone, and then choose really what is their favorite path, as Sarah and Laura were talking about. Because you might not know, you love jazz in general, you love music, but then you might find out that you will be phenomenal in playing Brazilian music, or more funk, hip hop. There is so many different styles. Am I right, Orphy?
Yes, that's right. I mean, as musicians, session musicians, the thing is, you get to a place where, yes, we can play all different styles and all of that, and sustain a career as well. We have varied days. I've been playing, I'm known for jazz and various different things, but, I might be doing a tour with Nigel Kennedy. I've been doing that, 11 years or something, doing whole other stream of music that I wouldn't be doing in the jazz idiom. And then I'll be doing a folk thing the next day. I'll be doing the music of Nick Drake with somebody, and for all of us, we have this amazing journey. The thing is that I always felt that the more that you listened and learned, the more you embraced the music and found things within that. So it's not just learning a set of things, technical things, and thinking, that is the goal. It is more a kind of 360 look at yourself as well. And I think, looking at this faculty, the idea behind it was that the name jazz was just an umbrella. Within that there's so many different styles. I mean, it's incredible. But it was to kind of make those connections with music from around the world. And so that we could then sort of say, okay, this is something that's come from this particular diaspora, or this continent, or so that music, as we know, is for all of us. But also, if you can make those connections, and that, I'm sure that going forward we can make some incredible music. And even if you don't go off to have a career in music, playing an instrument, it's about the appreciation. You could be the next audience, you could be the next teachers, you could, it's all about that whole service, I think, for all of us. So it's to spread that and to hopefully go forward and become a really consistent, high standard and highly thought of conservatoire right across the board.
Absolutely. Well, on these words, then I'd like to go back to classical, and we have the phenomenal Byron Fulker. Hello, Byron, who is a trombone soloist at the Philharmonia Orchestra.
Oh, you need to put your mic on, Byron.
Yes. I'm gonna ask Sarah and Laura thank you so much for being with us today. If you could, when you would like to leave us, please click the red button, and that will allow you to leave the room. Okay, and the same for you, Omar. Whenever you are ready, you can click the red button, and that will allow you to leave the room. Byron, can you talk now?
Yes, but sorry, before I go, I would like to
Yes.
say something just to follow what Orphe said. That is amazing. It's great what Orphe just said. Music is not just on the instrument, it's a little bit more than that. Perform. Perform is as important as just play and note, because music is not a question. And this opportunity to be open. And that is a great phrase, it's the umbrella. Underneath is everything. Just put your mind open, and we can conquer the world. Well, thank you for joining us, and see you on the email.
On the email and the platform. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Great. I also want to say thank you for having us, Stefania. It's so great to see you. So great to meet all of you, and we're so excited to get stuck in.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Okay. See you later.
Orphe, we need to talk.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, now Byron, can we hear you? Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave you for a second. Yeah, try. Okay.
Yeah, or try to refresh the page, maybe.
Yeah, probably I have to refresh the page. So I'm gonna come out, refresh the page, stop sharing. So I give you the platform, Ambra, for a moment, okay?
Yeah, fantastic. So far, so many diverse. We announced that this would have been for the 21st century. This is truly so amazing, because I myself was trained as classical musical harpist, and to hear so many different combinations of music, of genders, of influences going from the east to the west, from music to jazz, Cuban music, to start Tchaikovsky, going to Paganini. It's really amazing. It's really incredible. And to think that all the students will have the possibility to move and explore so many others, this is really, really incredible. So it's not just becoming a musician, not just becoming a classical musician, but it's really absorbing so many such amazing teachers that just remember, everybody is not just teachers, but all these people are amazing stars that every day they're out there on a stage performing. So they can teach you from their experiences, not just somebody sitting behind. This is the great difference and the great distinctive mark of this new conservatoire. And I also would like to remember all the potential students, of course, that all the courses are going to be available online throughout the whole pandemic period, and possibly also later on, thanks to this new platform that is live streaming, and you can play simultaneously with your teachers and with your fellow colleagues. So I believe this is all amazing. I give you back the word to Stefania. I think
yes,
she's ready and fantastic.
Okay, I'll do that. Just 1 second. Yeah, headphones. Byron, you need the headphones.
Okay. So we are going back now to a little touch of classical department.
Perfect. Okay. Share the screen from tab. And here we are.
Well, I feel like I've slightly turned up on the wrong day. I think today might be jazz. Yesterday was more classical. But, As you said, Stefania, I'm largely classical trombonist. About half my time I spend playing in the Philharmonia, doing all the traditional classical things. But the rest of the time, I spend maybe doing a little bit of session work, but also playing in the London Sinfonietta. So I'm playing a lot of brand new music, reading music for the first time. That group associated with many composers, and they write solo pieces for all the people in the group, including myself sometimes, and that's very exciting. So we do that, and so that's the sort of solo thing in the modern music, the group music, and I also play as a brass player. The brass chamber music I play with London Brass. London Brass has been going about 30 years and grew out of the very famous Philip Jones Brass Ensemble. That was the pioneering group. When he retired, he left it to London Brass, and we commissioned a lot of music, play a lot of new music. So a lot of my time as a classical trombonist is spent trying to play the widest range of music I can, generally speaking, in the classical style.
Well, talking about these, brass, first of all, I know that the UK are like the best in the world for brass. I remember when I was studying in Italy, my friends, horn player and the trumpet and trombone, they were like so looking, at the UK legendary orchestras and the unique sound for the brass. And there is this quality and the clarity and precision as well that is very much, I think, into the British school for the brass. Did you study here in the UK?
I did. I studied at the Guildhall, which also had a fantastic reputation for its brass department at the time, and still does, as do the other in London. We've got a fantastic team of brass tutors lined up here as well, and Alex and Peter David. It's going to be amazing. And the British tradition of brass playing, I think, there's several reasons why that exists. I think many of us grew up in the brass band tradition, so that's quite a big group, about 25 players, but nevertheless, and all standards. So you could start off in a beginner's group and maybe not very good groups, and then as you get better, you progress up, and the top groups are really outstanding, professional standards. So the idea of playing brass chamber music together is part of the British tradition, no question about that. That's very deeply held tradition, and the music college courses are geared towards how brass players play together with each other, making the orchestral sounds blend and making the sections sound very good. Only in more recent times, I suppose, we now get a few international brass soloists, which, if you rewind, there weren't so many of those, a few, but now there are a few more people doing that. So the teaching is geared towards wherever the student wants to go really with it. So some people are not inclined towards being soloists and they want to play in an orchestra. That's where their ambition lies. Other people want to be soloists and do the competitions and play chamber music. So I think that this course is geared towards covering it all, having a very strong core and covering all those things, but allowing the student, a bit like the jazz teachers are saying, allowing the student to pursue the direction that they want, whilst obviously covering all the core sort of requirements.
Well, I have a very tricky question. And so before we were talking with Fayet, who's going to be the head of brass in the jazz department, and he is a phenomenal jazz trombonist. And we were talking about the fact that the trombone is a relatively new instrument, let's say, compared to the violin or to the piano, for example. Because the repertoire as well, then, of course, is something that has been developed in the past century, in a way. Would you say that you never playing in a brass band, for example, a brass orchestra? You never played. You played contemporary music, but you never went to different style to more modern style, in a way more commercial? Have you ever been tempted to it?
I do quite a bit of commercial work, session work, and some of the stuff we do with the London Symphony gets into the realm of crossover music for sure. I'm very jealous of jazz improvisers. That's the bit that I perhaps haven't got into because I've always been drawn to playing what I'm looking at, I suppose. I'm very jealous of that. I would love to be able to jazz improvise. I guess I haven't invested quite enough of my time in that up to now. But the trombone, of course, incredibly versatile instrument. You can do so many things with it. I might just pick you up on the trombone being a modern instrument. Actually, it is, as wind instruments go, it's very old, the original trombone, because it's so simple. It's just a pipe and the alto of the pipe. So other woodwind instruments have changed more than the trombone. But the trombone was, although it actually is an old instrument, it entered symphony orchestra more recently. So people think it's a latecomer. It was a latecomer to the symphony orchestra, but it's actually a pretty old instrument and relatively unchanged for 500 or 600 years, really, relatively unchanged. So
it's actually one of the national instruments of Jamaica.
It's
the trombone.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of jazz trombone players have sort of got into There was a period, so weird. The Methodist Church supposedly sent an array of instruments to Jamaica for the orphans, and instead it was a consignment of just trombones.
That came as a bit of a shock, actually.
Can you imagine?
When they opened the box,
what do I do with that?
Seen the look on their face.
Can you imagine? And so it became this thing that the most famous music school in Jamaica is the orphan school called the Alpha Boys School. And it's where the whole history of Jamaican music, including even the reggae and the ska and all of that, where the trombone is very significant within those musics. So we, as a child of Jamaican parents, the trombone players are held in the highest respect. You're like the dudes. The dudes.
It is an incredible instrument. You can do so much with it. Classical, jazz, and whatever. So when would that happen? When did those instruments arrive in Jamaica as well?
That would have been in the early 50s.
Yeah, that would have been roughly, I guess.
Around that time. So it's, and I found out later on, many years, later on, obviously, in my growth within music, when my father started to explain and came out with these famous names, and I'd never heard, I thought, how can my dad know people like that? It just seems so obscure. He said, no, they all studied at the Alpha Boys. The teachers there, they then taught, they became the reggae and the ska and the jazz for the tourist and the church music. They basically did everything, which is great. And a lot of them are still playing, I say a lot of them, that generation, not that many are still around. But one that you would have seen in the Jules Holland band was Rico Rodriguez. And he's quite a well-known, iconic figure for trombone. So Fayaz, who was here earlier, he could tell you about that history as well, because he had learnt about that from those gentlemen as well.
I guess it sort of almost harks back to a few hundred years before that. Actually, before probably the time of Bach putting organ in churches, it was the brass players, the cornet and the sackbut players that played the music in churches going back to the 16th century. And we have all the music by Gabriel and things like that. Of course, when I suppose, and big churches used to employ a lot of brass musicians in those days,
Right.
I suppose it was probably the organ, the invention of the organ that kind of led that to life. So it's interesting,
And I think also with the, when you spoke about improvisation as such, because there's so many roads to improvisation, there's so many different kind of avenues, and it's kind of, for me, at any point within our growth as musicians, it's just been having that inquisitive nature. That's the thing that more than anything else, having toured with lots of classical musicians, doing the Nigel Kennedy thing all around the world, we will go off to jazz clubs and all sorts of things, and it's really kind of being around a sound and then finding a way in. It's because it's conversations. I think at the end of the day, it is conversations. I mean, you have incredible facility because of the standard of music that you will be used to playing. So everything about that trombone, absolutely everything. And that, I've total respect. Or
there's a lot of music I don't play, but there's obviously the classical thing is very exacting sort of thing to do.
There is that, because it's about the accuracy, but then there's freedom within the accuracy, kind of, if that makes sense. There's freedom within that.
People are pushing that envelope as far as it can go all the time. What you can do on it.
Yes.
Modern music, contemporary music.
Yeah.
Great instrument for that, because it's a bit different. You can do all sorts of unique things on the trombone because of its design.
Its design, yeah. I mean, there's a free improvising trombone player. Well, he plays everything. He's always in the West End shows, doing all of that. Called Alan Tomlinson. Okay. If you ever get a chance to see Alan Tomlinson, because he can play right across the board, but he's got all this other stuff that he kind of developed, absolutely stunning. I always keep thinking, at what time in your life did you have to be able to do all of this as well? So it's fab. It's fab, and I'm sure with Fires and all the various people involved, I'm sure you will all, swap information and and everything else.
Amazing players, amazing brass department connected to this venture.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, see you.
No, so anybody interested, I think that's the story of the day.
Baby, you're trying the microphone and we can hear everything. Just mute it for us, please. What were you doing?
Okay.
Filomena headphones. Headphones, Filomena. Mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Okay, that's fine. No, you did the mute. There is the microphone underneath. Thank you. Why can't I hear you anymore? What happened? I can hear you, Byron. Arfi, you muted yourself as well?
Did. Yes, I did. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Byron, thank you so much for today. It was lovely to talk to you. And what I wanted to say is that our students won't be forbidden to try to have classical lessons if they are enrolled to the jazz department, and vice versa if they are classical enrolled for the classical trombone program to try the jazz. And if they fall in love with the other side and then decided that that's a better path for them, they will be allowed to switch, because we want to give them the total freedom inside the music to be able to explore and develop their instruments and their talent in their maximum direction. Gary, the headphones. Gary.
Yeah. And
mute. Please. All right. Goodbye, Byron. Thank you so much.
Bye, Byron. Thank you. Pleased to meet you. Wonderful.
Gary, we can see. Gary, we can still hear each
James
other.
Brandon Lewis.
Hear each other.
Hello.
1 second. 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Gary, mute yourself. please. At the bottom of the browser, there is a microphone, and you can click that.
Yeah.
No, we're still there. Gary, please click the mute microphone on the computer.
Bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Okay, Gary, we are live. So can you, I don't have anyone on the live studio because otherwise I could have switched. James, would you mind switching back to the live studio? I'm sorry about that. And I talk to you
studio.
there.
Okay.
While
Okay.
maybe Alfie, you can help Gary.
Okay. Yes.
Gary setting up his thing. Okay, I'll come out while you're doing it. Stop sharing. Okay. So we're back to the live studio. Gary didn't have the time to test the platform, and he's adding a lot of cameras, so that's gonna be wonderful. We're gonna be joined here in the live studio by James Brandon Lewis from New York, who is a phenomenal saxophonist. I hope he will be here very soon. Yes, here it is. Hello, James. Thank you for switching platform.
Oh yes, it's all good. It's all good.
I know that Orphe would have loved to talk with you, but I'll keep you for myself.
Right. Okay.
How are you? So you are in New York. What time is it there now?
It's 8 o'clock, 8 a.m.
Oh, in the morning.
Yes.
Thank you for joining
Yes.
us so early.
Oh yes, it's all good. It's all good. Yes, definitely.
So we are basically introducing all the professors little by little. Many of you have more than one expertise. So I said that you are an incredible saxophonist, but you're not just a saxophonist. So I'd like you to talk a bit about yourself, about your wonderful career, and what are you gonna bring that will be special and unique at the London Performing Academy of Music.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be a part of the new thing, London Performing Academy of Music. I'm a saxophonist and composer. Long story short, I'm from Buffalo, New York. I've been living in New York City, Brooklyn for the past 9 years, almost 10. I've studied with many different people. I attended the California Institute of the Arts. I worked with Charlie Hayden, Joe LaBarbera, Wadada Leo Smith. Prior to that, I was at Howard University, studying with Charlie Young, and as well as Fred Irby. So I have a very just eclectic background. I've been not only just playing saxophone, but composing. I do a lot of collaboration with poets over the years. I have a poetry group. I have many different kinds of configurations of ensembles. And what I hope to bring to the student is just to be able to map their musical tendencies where they are now and strengthen those so that we can get to the most authentic, the truest version of who they are. Of course, covering the basics, but not only just that, with a whole continuum of the jazz legacy via saxophone, from Coleman Hawkins to Lester Young to the full continuum, Ornette Coleman to Frank Lowe, Frank Wright, and even some of today's folks that I really dig, not limited to, I won't name a bunch of names, but things that come to mind, Ingrid Lawbrook or J.D. Allen. So many different people, and just getting insights into, how basically music can still be fun. It's still fun,
It
But,
is indeed.
but I mean, we tend to forget that, you know, when we're studying. But and also just the interdisciplinary nature of how different mediums relate to each other. You know, i.e., you know, there's a favorite thing that Paul Klee used to say about a line is a dot that went for a walk. You know, and so if we think about just the way music is presented and the ideas of, you know, how we write music, how we perceive music, our audio perception, our intuition, so philosophical components as well as the traditional, you know, okay, this is the scale that goes with this, but also just more earthy, real kind of you know, emotion and intuition, and talking from week to week about Rudolf Steiner's concepts of intuition, and then we switch gears and we might be talking about what Pharoah Sanders is talking about nature and how that influences his sound, and then we might combine that with another philosopher like Henry Thoreau and what he has to say about nature. So, you know, just many different facets. I've been in a lot of different kinds of musical settings, avant-garde, inside, outside, all the different genres within this realm. You know, hopefully we can expand and get out of this realm and find some other genres. But yeah, so that's the net of it. I mean, I have, you know, several different, you know, I'm not one to boast about myself. I mean, you can find this information on Google, but today is the opportunity for the students to meet me. I have several different albums to my name. I also publish writings via Aerosmith Press with an improvisational and compositional system entitled Molecular Systematic Music. And actually the third installment of that is out today. So if you want to check that out, you can visit my website, jblewis.com. So.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying this morning. We have these incredible professors that they have incredible careers. And there is, you know, in the website of the LPMAM, we concentrate that it's like...
It's all good.
80 words, 100 words, and some of them you can't go less than 130 still, you know. And of course there is a link to the website, but it's never the same as when you actually have the professor talking to you live and explaining you. Because and also, you know, there is also the problem when you're putting names onto a faculty page. Where do you put them? I mean, I put you under saxophones, woodwind, jazz department, but there is so much more of like others, you know, that they compose, they arrange. There is improvisation to it. There is, and you're not gonna be teaching just the saxophone.
No,
you're not just
gonna
be teaching
not just that. No.
how to play the right notes. That's not the point. Of course. If you have an undergraduate student, he's at the beginning, we'll have to give them the basics.
Basics are important, yes.
We're going to follow the traditional programs because we have to respect the accreditation system and the higher education standards from the conservatories, diplomas, and the graduate, postgraduate, and advanced. But inside that, we're going to reach the program with everything that you learned in your career. I mean, you came out from university, from the conservatoire, having studied the classic, but then,
yes, of course. I mean, the basics, you know, sound is huge, you know, talking about the oral cavity in terms of vowel sounds to think about when you're, you know, which is also influenced by why we would study the different sound palettes of say a Coleman Hawkins to Lester Young to Ornette Coleman, so that you get a broad timbre in your, you know, it's easy to like maybe think about sax in one way or one sound, which is why, you know, studying lineage and a continuum is important.
So of course, the basics are definitely, sound, scale, and all these necessary tools that have definitely helped me throughout my career. And it's particularly sound is really huge, because you develop the sound, you'll begin to enjoy practicing. If you don't have a sound, rather than a sound that everyone else has, if you don't begin to know the tools to develop your own sound via long tones and even the process of visualization, because you're playing a saxophone, you're not seeing it, as opposed to a keyboardist or a guitar player. They're able to visually kind of aid in what, different shapes, so getting the student to do that. So yeah, definitely the basics are definitely a part of the fabric of my thinking. But then from the basics, then we get into not just philosophical concepts, but very real, where they're intertwined with each other.
Beautiful.
For sure.
Yes, and that's what excited me the most when I met you. When we were talking about joining LPMAM and everything that you can bring more. I mean, I trusted Arfi 100%. When I said, Arfi, can we make an exciting?
He's great. He's great.
An exciting jazz department, but I didn't expect it to be this exciting. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Well, thank you so much. You can stay on if you like, or if you want to go and have breakfast, because I understand
that's fine. Thank you so much. I'm thankful for the opportunity. Pleased to meet all of you all. I look forward to meeting all the other faculty, and let's make this the best, most positive thing we can, because we have enough of the other stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, we do. All right. Thank you so much. Bye then. Bye. All right, so we have Filomena. Filomena, are you on? And yes, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Hello, everyone.
And in theory, we also have Oscar from Cuba, but I don't see him. I know there is some problem with the connection from there. Let's see if we can... Oscar, if you can hear me. You are on, so maybe if you try refreshing the page, you would be able to come in again. Or might be that the live studio is taking too much internet, and so you won't be able to connect. And anyway, let's start talking with Filomena. Filomena is phenomenal professor for both singing, improvisation, theater. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. There is a little bit of delay in the video, but I keep going on.
Yes, yeah.
Sure. Lovely to meet you all, and I'm very excited about this new opportunity. And I really think I really like the open mind approach that you all have. I've worked a lot with Orphy Robinson. I'm a jazz singer, I'm a vocal improviser, and a theater director. So what I would like to bring to my course is a different approach. And what I'd like to do is to help the singers, but not only the singers, also musicians in general, to use their body and to search for the uniqueness of our sound through our body. And I can say this because I've been working for many, many years using physical theater, for example, and vocal improvisation. And we don't only sing, with the larynx, with our lungs. We use the whole body. But not only, we need to engage the spectators in our performance completely. They are part of it. So how to develop this relationship with the audience, with the spectators, how to use the space, how to develop the interplay with the other musicians. We need to learn how to listen as well as to when we are performing. So I think I can bring a different approach using all my other skills, let's say. So using the physicality, and also how to develop your stage presence, so your charisma, your energy. It's something we need to train for. It's not something just natural. So I developed a series of techniques that can help you a lot to develop this kind of practice.
Wonderful. Well, we just let Ambra have 5 minutes rest. And we also have Kate here. So I'd like you to stay with Kate because it's very important what you're doing. Hello, Kate.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Kate, do you know Filomena?
I think I do know Filomena. I think
Yeah.
I've seen Filomena at the Vortex.
Yes, we met at the Freedom sessions,
Yeah,
at the free improvisation sessions at the Vortex many times.
That's right. Yes.
There you go. So Filomena
That's
was
it.
talking about a course that won't be just about singing, but will be also about body expression and improvisation and theater and movement. And we're gonna build an incredible new music theater department that won't be just musical, but actually theater.
Amazing.
We kind of talked about this before, but we didn't talk enough. So would you like to tell us more about what you're going to teach at LPMAM?
Yeah, oh yeah. So there's going to be jazz improvisation and crossover improvisation. And where I'm coming from is a classical background, but I've always improvised.
Mm-hmm.
And I explored it much more after I left sort of basic, well, not basic, but classical training. And went much more into the free improvisation world and the jazz world. I also work a lot with a composer in Austria called Norbert Same, who's a painter as well. We improvise a lot together. And he writes music that's very much suited to our personalities. And I developed a lot of improvisation there. And the kind of things I'll be teaching with jazz, certainly helping students develop an autonomy with their own improvising style. So, I mean, we all get influenced and we all want to sort of play like someone. And so it's about finding our own voice. I'll be helping develop pupils' own autonomy in improvisation using jazz standards and free improv. And obviously they're all their own compositions as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be helping develop the language of improvisation with blues scales, jazz scales, particular melodic patterns, exercises for dexterity in the fingers, and oral exercises. A great one is to sing at the same time as you're playing what you're playing. And if you're an improviser, you can sometimes hear a second before you're playing. You sing with what you're playing. And there's another exercise where you do the opposite. You're playing a bass line or you're playing a tune and you make yourself sing something completely different. And they're very useful. That's a really useful one when you're hearing the main theme, but you want to improvise over that theme. And how can you do it? And I find a useful little number is, come on, get happy. Forget the troubles, come on, get happy. I'm gonna chase all your cares away. I did a little pop pop tap 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 da. How are you going to improvise over such an intrinsic melody? And I say, well, take loads out of it. And what are the main bits of it? So it's kind of always heading towards that note. So you might make a little different melody that could go with that melody at the same time. So like, and they're going to go together, because in my head I'm not hearing the melody, I'm hearing this doom 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 boom doom 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 doom. So everything for me is a bass line, whatever's going on, and that's my floor. I'm sitting on that floor, and if we're all following the same floor, it's kind of going to work. And that's with obviously chord changes where things are very set in stone. And also I'll be helping teach its students how to interpret what they bring to the table. Are they bringing what was I going to say? Are they bringing a problem for a solution, or are they bringing a question for an answer or a resolution? And is it, I don't know how to interpret this, or I do know how to, but is there another way? And so there's that too. That's kind of roughly the jazz side of helping students learn to improvise, a few techniques there. And when it comes to the free improvisation, the less is more thing. Start with virtually nothing and see if you can make a little bare thread become a big idea. And like I was saying earlier about follow the happy accident into the wood and see if you can sit there. So is there something really interesting inside that wood? A lot of people want to run away from the accident. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I like to go right inside it and go somewhere else with it, take it somewhere else. Am I following the improvisation or am I leading? Yeah, am I pushing where it's meant to go? Actually, I like to just follow it really and find out where it's going. Might take a lead here and there. It's like we're having a conversation together. If I'm with another musician, I like to have a conversation. I love having a conversation with other musicians, improvising. I find that. I also find it very funny and, quite enlightening.
I mean, I love what you do. I mean, you have can I say cabaret?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's cabaret. What you do, it's performing, playing the instrument, singing, improvising, and building up a full theater play, because cabaret is theater play basically. And that's an art that somehow has been kind of lost since you stopped having the beautiful cabaret venues from the 20s. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I started doing in the 90s. I'd always known I was going to do it. I didn't know when or how. And I just went right on in there and I would just book venues and get on with it. And a lot of other cellists were going, oh, I've always wanted to do something like that. And there's a few of us around now and we're all different. And it's about ignoring what you're meant to do and where you're meant to be. It's just, what do I want to do? That's what I want to do. And even if the art form has died out, no, I'm going to do
what it's not.
Absolutely not. I'm just going to do what because it hasn't died out, and here it is. I'm going to do.
There is one thing. I mean, I don't think art will ever die out. When it's art, that's something that will stay forever. It's just a question of nourishing it and bringing it back to the shine that used to have. I think there is a new wave of cabaret that came even. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like with beautiful movies helps a lot, in bringing back in the narrative from history to the bigger audience. So like, of course, the movie Cabaret, but I'm talking about all the movies inspired by the 20s, like The Great Gatsby, and there was this incredible new set of venues set up in the 20s, and in the 20s, Cabaret was a major part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And of course, all the movies from the 30s and 40s, with all where it was absolutely normal to dress up with the evening dress and go to this venue and see a show where you had a series of different form of art.
Absolutely. And I think because I love cabaret and I love theatre, and I'd always done some acting, but I chose, as I said earlier, but I wanted to somehow involve music with the theatre, and that was the perfect way because I didn't want to be boxed. And I thought, why can't the cello come to the party as well?
Yes.
Because I am a pianist as well, and I spent most of my youth on the piano, and then I would do the cello practice after that because the piano I found so easy, and I would spend 4 hours improvising. I go, I've got to go and do my hours cello practice now, But then I suddenly realised many years later, oh, hang on, the cello can come along, the cello can join in as well and be part of this whole shindig. And I think what I was going to say earlier about improvising is the composer I was mentioning earlier, Norbert. The way he paints is the way he improvises. He literally gets paint and just throws it onto a piece of paper, doesn't know where it's going to go, looks at it and follows that. And he creates a beautiful sculpture paint-wise out of whatever's gone onto the paper. And that's how I see improvising. What note will appear in the air? We don't know. And it might be chaos. And out of the chaos, we need to create a bit of magic and do a bit of a sculpture. And I work with a poet called Penny. And we've done years and years, 10, 12 years of improvising. Half an hour of chaos But in that chaos, there's suddenly 5 minutes of magic. It's very exciting, and people go, wow, that was amazing. It sounded like it was composed. And that's from playing together for so long, where you read minds. Yeah. And it's just about doing it.
Well, wonderful. And that's what we are gonna do. We're gonna let our students explore their imagination, their talent, their inspiration, and who knows, they might love it and then decide to go towards this brand new genre that is not new, but it's old, but it's becoming new again. It's becoming classical. Filomena, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, because I'm very much on the same page, because, you know, being a theater practitioner and a vocalist, you know, I really like what Kate was saying. Actually, we got to get together.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to hear, you know, this kind of inclusion, because we are so used to label things. This is jazz, this is classic, this is theater. And I remember I directed a piece about Thelonious Monk with, you know, with Orphy Robinson, with Cleveland Watkins, Roland Sutherland, of, you know, my great friends and amazing teachers and colleagues. And I remember the critics were completely, they had a crisis because they didn't know how to label this. So the jazz critics were confused because they said, oh, but this is a theater piece. And the theater critics were confused because, oh, but this is a jazz concert. So they didn't know how to label it. And I think we need to stop this and to accept the inclusion, the intersection of different genres, because at the end of the day, this is music and this is art, as you say. And we really do need a school like this to help this kind of interactions, to create new collaborations that can really inspire the artist. That's why I was saying I work not just on the voice, but on the whole body, on the communication with the musicians, and also triggering the creativity, because we get inspired from so many things. It could be a movie, it can be a concert, it can be a CD, it could be a book, it could be anything. But we really need to open our minds and really to nurture, to inspire this kind of interactions. This is something that happens, for example, in this event that we met with Kate at the Vortex, for example. This idea Orphy Robinson and Cleveland and others had to create a jam session of free improvisation. And how exciting is that? Because you bring together people with different backgrounds, very young people, you know, it's lovely to see so many young musicians coming with their instruments and maybe getting on stage with some of the greatest jazz masters or improvisers, which is fantastic. And if it seems that this academy is going to have the same principle of opening and not label things, but create possibilities for interactions, for an artistic development, to create artists.
You could have not said it better. All my life, I was passionate about opera, I was passionate about jazz, I was passionate about theater. I did a bit of everything. My truest and deepest passion was the piano, because I don't know, somehow, you know, I was a journalist as well. I have a degree in law. I'm an entrepreneur who has a record label. I've done so much, but the piano stayed at the bottom of my heart. So also it's only after you've been following all your passions that you realize that you have one specifically that is the one that is going to define you. But then when people ask, you know, who are you? What do you do? So, and I say, I was once at the dinner with my neighbors that are super lovely and they're super, I got someone who is a TV producer, the other one was a French professor at university. We had an Emmy Awards designer, costume designer. So it's very strange street. And we had this dinner with new neighbors and they says, so what do you do? And I says, I'm a musician. And I says, well, you're more than that. That's what they said. And that's what I want from our students, because today it's impossible and it's not right to just has to be one thing in one tiny box closed there. That doesn't mean you're not going to become a fantastic classical violinist or conductor or composer or whatever, right? But if you also love improvisation, if you love theater, if you love opera, if you want to become an opera manager, Ambra, what are you? Ambra, you are 20 million things as well. She is an artist, she's an entrepreneur, she's the founder of Opera Co-Pro, she's gonna be teaching for us opera management. None of us in this room, in this very moment, and all the people that we've seen so far, are just musicians. But on top of that, they are the top of the top playing their instruments. So let's say playing the instrument is starting point and the final point of the classical undergraduate, postgraduate program, but there will be everything else that will make it unique and rich and relevant, I think, for today.
Absolutely. And can I say also, it's fantastic to see a female presence, because in music is not something we take for granted. So that's amazing to see, you know, the square with
women,
musicians and artists.
Women.
That's great. Yeah.
All right. Well, I go back now to the platform because we have. Let me see. First, I need to go in myself. Sorry for that. And okay, I'm gonna share the platform. Share. Sorry, I didn't share the audio. I'll be back in a second. Stop.
Hi, Orphy.
Share. Okay, here we are. Elian, try muting yourself. Are you muted already? Yes. Then it's you, baby. No, it was Elian. Elian, we had the echoing from your end. Am I right, Orphy? Bebe, would you like? Yes. Okay. Well, we have Babe. We're gonna talk first to Bebe, and then we're gonna come to Elian. Bebe is an incredible percussionist, virtuoso, classical, experimental, contemporary. She is everything, and she's another one of the person that we can put into a box. So welcome, Bebe. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Thank you, Stefania. Hey, everyone. Name's Bebe Wan, and I'm a percussionist. I'm from China. I moved to England. I moved to London since 2011, and I came to study in the Royal Academy of Music. And then after that, I started to explore and doing my own styles, my own music, and trying to bring cultures together from my own cultural heritage background. And obviously I met Offie, I met so many incredible musicians here, and I start to play with everyone and start to explore, experiment as much as I can. Yeah, that's my music journey so far. But thank you very much. It's my great honor, and it's a huge privilege here to be with all of you guys.
It's an absolute honor myself to have you involved with us, joining us right at the beginning. And I think because of the wide sort of scope of what you do, it adds a lot more value to where we're going and where we're going to aim for. It opens, yeah, it absolutely opens it up to look at, you know, in the percussion world, to look at many different approaches, traditional and modern, contemporary, as well as a more wider world view. But also I know that, you know, you use electronics and various different other aspects of multimedia with what you do as well. So it takes us really into the 21st century. and that's really, you know, where we want to go with all of this, because I tend to feel in a few other places, many other places, that there isn't this forward-looking approach to how music is delivered and how it's looked at, how it's taught, how it's appreciated. You know, you really are of now, and that with obviously a whole understanding of history going way, way back.
Thank you very much. It's my great honor, because I think as a musician now you have to keep learning, keep exploring, and you cannot be like just stay there and I graduate and I am established musician. Then I just keep repeating the things. But now is the big challenge time. Everyone need to absorb new knowledge from the technology and even the platform like we are using right now, and then Zoom and all things happening every day. So we have to keep ourselves updated and trying to find out what would be possible to be used as a music tool, as a tool to serve music making and art making. And I think LPMAM is a really cool platform to bring all of us together to contribute what we can, and also to collaborate. That's the most important things, to collaborate with different people, different cultures, different background, different art forms even. So during coronavirus pandemic, the world has been kind of separated, isolated, and people are becoming so, you know, isolated in a way, and not listening, not be able to embrace each other, culture in terms of culture, music, you know, politics, all these crazy things happen. I think it's a really good time, a right time to bring all incredible people, not only musicians, people who are really beautiful people together to push the world going, to push our community growing.
Right.
And people shouldn't be separated. We all should be together. Then we can create a future tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to be like this. We're stuck in the home.
Yes, very true.
Well, I have to say, you know, I knew Baby.
Stefania, you are muted, I think.
Is that? Sorry, thank you, Afi. Yes, we met with Baby before. Afi mentioned your name to be part of the LPMAM faculty, and I knew Baby as a classical percussionist. So when Afi presented you for the jazz department, I was like, well, you know, she can be anywhere really. She's not. You started, let's say, with the classical program, but then you developed yourself in something that is that is Baby. So when you say percussionist, Baby is just a percussionist in all direction, in all the styles, in all expressions, and that's what we want for the classical music of the 21st century. We cannot be stuck anymore just in a tiny box for classical or for contemporary or for jazz or for rhythms. What do you think, Baby?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Since I joining, I was really lucky to be selected for Stefania's Future Classical Women Classical Award nominee. So I was interviewed by Stefania about all these incredible female musicians, classical musicians, and I've been able to see their achievement and their music journey, and be able to know so many people, so many beautiful female classical musicians. And also, I think we briefly discussed about what the situation in the classical music world now is. It's pretty, because if you go to concert hall now, if you go to South Bank, go to Barbican, you see the audience is all in a certain group, in a certain age, and people go to see certain program. It's only this small group of people, and it's really hard to see, especially young people, excited about seeing a classical concert. But except the concert there is a Orphy, there is Kate Short in the concert, then people could be, that's something new, there are something I've never seen before. So that makes them think this is something classical music could develop in a way that could have so many different aspects, dimensions. This is I think that's what I would like to discover and to develop in the future for myself, how to bring more audience to see classical music. Because instead, for us, as a musician, we really need to think the genres. How about, it's like you identify yourself as a classical musician, or you're an experimental musician, you're a jazz musician. I think this is it's a little bit old-fashioned for me. Now we're just people, we're just musicians. No matter music you do, you are yourself. If we could have this open-minded idea to develop, that would be even cool, cosmopolitan, ideal, community in the future waiting for us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Bebe. It's been wonderful talking to you. And
thank you very much.
Eliane, do you want to try? Shall we try talking with you? Let's see if we don't get an echoing. Perfect.
I think hopefully not echo now.
Yeah, so. It's gone. The internet is going a little bit down, the connection. So can I ask maybe Bebe, because I can see that's the one that is slowest the most. If you can leave us. But it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. You can watch us on...
no problem.
You can continue following us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you.
I will definitely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bebe.
Thank you, Bebe. Okay, Eliane.
Yes. Hi. So I'm Swedish originally, born and raised, and I was an artist to start off with, and moved to New York when I was 20 and worked as a session musician, as a singer, and a vocalist for jingles. And after that, I moved to London, became a professional songwriter, writing for other people. And as well as that, I started writing a column for The Guardian about the music industry from the inside, what I had learned from being a musician for people who are not musicians. And while I was doing that, I was contacted by the whole broader industry, like the record labels, EPI, PRS, PL, all these different organizations, and people who wanted me to write about special issues. And through that, I think I learned about the business so much more than I knew when I started out as an artist and just musician. And with that, I then joined the Irish Academy, which is formerly BASCAP, British Academy of Songwriters and Composers, and started campaigning for music creators. And I find I've also worked with music tech companies that are trying to help music creators get their money that they're supposed to get, and how to make it easier for music creators to make sure that they get all the money that they deserve. And I think what has brought me here is, Orphy is also a board director at the Irish Academy, and we often talk about how musicians, we learn everything about how to create music, but we don't learn how to run a business, how to be a professional musician that can sustain a career. And in particular, in today's society, when everything moves so quickly and there are so many opportunities for all sorts of musicians, whether you're like working in pop or jazz or classical or grime or whichever genre you work in, and a lot of the times all of us work in different genres as well. So to be able to, first of all, get all the money that you're due, but also understand when it comes to contracts. I think a lot of the time musicians learn as after the fact. So when you have been, if I, excuse my language, but once you kind of been screwed a couple of times, you're like, okay, so I shouldn't have signed a contract that looked like that, and that's not a normal contract, and so that's what that means. And I think what I want to bring to the table and what I want to do here for musicians is to help them not have to make those mistakes themselves, so that they can be fully fledged, like when they leave their studies, to be able to run a business, know how to negotiate, know where to register, know where to collect money, because there's a lot of money that gets left on the table due to simply that people are not aware that there is money to be collected for their music.
Right.
Now, you're one of our star professors, really, for the supportive courses in the music industry, in the music business. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to give the tools to the students to come out of the conservatoire, not be just wonderful performers, but also to understand how to sign a contract, where to go to register your music, as you said, and not finding themselves lost or in bad situation then for a long time that might block their career even before starting. And you are also a songwriter, so you're not going to be teaching only the music business, but you're also gonna give the opportunity to students that they want to learn to write song to do this. And writing song is the most difficult art, I think. You need to concentrate in such a short, you don't have the space to develop a symphony, to develop your idea. That needs to be straight away perfect, and then stick to your mind and become successful that everyone is singing it.
Yeah, that's I think there's definitely, I think the song has become even more important in the streaming age, because people obviously cherry pick music that they listen to a lot more today. So I think that the focus on really mastering the craft of songwriting is really important. And obviously I have a huge passion because I'm a songwriter. I've always been a songwriter, and I've worked in Nashville, I worked in LA, I worked in New York, Sweden. When I was born in Sweden, I had no idea that it would become this mecca of songwriters. But actually, one of the tech companies that I worked with was backed by Max Martin, who's written for I think he's now the third most successful songwriter of all time, after Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
Oh wow!
He's Swedish, and Bjorn Ulvaeus was also a backer of that. So
I wonder, what is it with Sweden? I mean, is it the language? Like Italian, they're famous for opera and the melody, right? Because it comes from the way we talk somehow, right? Every time we talk, there is always these nuances, etc. So, was it? I'm just curious. Sorry to ask.
No. I think, and I get asked that quite often, and I think it's a combination. And this is like flying the flag for state-sponsored music lessons. That in Sweden we've had that state. The state has paid for music lessons from you're like 8 years old in Sweden, and they will give you an instrument if you can't afford to get one yourself. So there's a real kind of early start for musicians. And then secondly, when it comes to lyrics, I think because Swedish people obviously is not writing, people are not going to understand Swedish in most other countries. So Swedes tend to be quite quite good at English, good at that. We have all subtitle shows. So I think that kind of helps as well. So I mean, this is that's my end. I would say thirdly, in particular with the Max Martin kind of school of songwriting, that it's very collaborative, and I think the Swedes have benefited by being very collaborative and supportive of others.
Sorry, I didn't see. Sorry, Eliane. Sorry if I.
Yeah.
No. You're good. You're good. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So did that all go? Yeah. Yeah. So I think that it's the collaborative, the support for music, and the being such a small country, we've been kind of forced to be as international as possible. I mean, I would say now there's all over Scandinavia there's some really good songwriters coming out.
I know. I have friends in Sweden, Finland, Norway, and I think it's an incredible part of the world. And I've been there a few times, and the light you get there, the sky is just something that I think music as well is inspired by nature. I don't know. It goes together probably. Who knows?
I think there's a melancholy up there that suits pop music really well. If you listen to ABBA, for example, I mean, there's a certain kind of melancholy. Even the happy songs have like a melancholy to it, and I think that is part of it. And then, of course, Sweden is also very, very supportive of jazz music, and have been from way back, I would say.
Wonderful. Well, Eliane, thank you so much for joining us today. Because I've been streaming for more than 3 hours, almost. So the platform is starting to be, a bit heavy. I'll ask you to leave us if that's okay with you, but you can follow us on YouTube or Facebook. And thank you again for today. And now we're gonna talk to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To Kaz. Kaz is a phenomenal drummer. Hello, Kaz. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic.
How you doing?
And the audio is perfect. So, where are you, Kaz? Are you in London?
Yes, I'm in London in my studio in North London. Just composing and also drumming at the same time. So this is my workspace for composition. Beautiful. And then over here is where I tend to work. So
fantastic.
My workspace. Yes.
Very cool.
So yes, it's been a journey. It's been great, but thank you for having me here and being part of the on board, and thank you for having me, through Orphe as well. Orphe is, I feel like, the heartbeat of the whole Rhythmos department, with bringing all the people together. I mean, Orphe has known me since I was since I didn't have any facial hair.
There you go. Yes, yeah. And I had hair on my head.
It was like a nice big afro,
Yeah.
Well, Kaz, I'd like you to talk about your experience. I mean, you are a phenomenal drummer. So you have followers from all around the world. We are very lucky to have you, and above all to have this platform, because thanks to this platform you will be able to teach even when you are touring, because hopefully when this will be over you will be very, very busy. And you've been very active on Instagram. I've been following you as well, making videos and tutorial for the students. Tell us a little bit about both your career and your passion for teaching as well.
Absolutely, thank you. And I mean, so I started. So I'm a composer and a drummer. I'm usually on tour with Shaka Khan, and my main show, my main artist that I play for is Josh Groban, who's a crossover artist, and I'm mostly in the States touring a lot, and we tour around the world, and it's been an amazing experience. We've shared the stages with the likes of Celine Dion, Andrea Bocelli, so it's I think it's one of an iconic figure in the part of the world, but Josh is like family to me, and it's been really fun doing that, and I'm still, since the pandemic, I've been here just kind of doing my own stuff. I've just recently finished my 5th album, which I was lucky to have plugged it on this New York American TV show called Seth Meyers Show, Late Night with Seth Meyers. I got to play there for the week, and literally it was really fun, and to have like an artist as my goal was to have a drummer kind of being voiced as a composer and a writer, because the rhythm department.
Can you give me my water, Sean, please?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah. The rhythm department is very I feel like they don't get that kind of accreditation as musicians. So my goal was to actually give that kind of light as my part, and so I've done a few things, and I've won a few awards, which I was fortunate for as like a modern drummer, and trying to inspire. Coming into teaching, I wanted to inspire the next generation and see the possibilities of, no matter what instrument you play, there is this amazing world that when you see these different cultures and you cross these things over, you make this style that is your space. That's the goal for me, is to allow you to have a space in the music industry. A lot of people are so afraid to take risk, and I'm that guy. I like to take risk. So
fantastic. Well, I think our students would be very, very, very lucky to be able to study with you. What we said, the percussion department, for example, of the Jazz and Rhythms is very big. And as is very big, the vocal department, we're going to talk with Merit in a second. And Liam, can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry, yeah.
It's okay. You know how to do it? You go underneath a microphone, and you can do that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And so I was saying, I'll ask Orfi. Orfi, can you help Liam for the headphones? You're sending some messages while I'm talking. and so I was with you, Kaz. So the students will be able to enroll in a jazz program and a jazz rhythms undergraduate or postgraduate, but actually they will be able to experiment with the different styles and then realize if they like in particular to be more towards, can I say you're more towards the commercial side? There is so many styles, so many boxes that we want to break, and I can't really.
I do think that there is I do tend to feel as I'm in a fusion department where I do fuse a lot of the jazz, the classical, the pop, it's a mixture. So I would say that my style is pretty much crossover, as Josh Groban is a crossover artist.
Yes.
So he plays like millions of styles, so I have to adapt, and it would be more that kind of thing. But there's so many styles, it's exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kaz, for joining us today. and I'm gonna pass the word to Merit. And I'll yes. Hello, Merit.
No worries.
Ooh. Wait a second. We got Robert as well. Robert, can you please mute your microphone? And Tara, please mute your microphone. Are you all muted? Perfect. Okay. Merit, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, yes. It's so exciting to be here in this wonderful variety and people from different backgrounds and different musical languages and experiences. So I'm a singer and a composer and a researcher, and yeah, I'm from an Egyptian German background, and I studied Middle Eastern singing and also classical music, and yeah, my whole thing is about collaborating with people from basically all different backgrounds and crossing boundaries and exploring the spaces between styles and between cultures and between languages, and as a singer exploring the not just also between the notes. Of course, Middle Eastern music is a lot about microtonal singing, so I'm really interested in the old spaces between the notes and between the cultures, and the creativity that you have as a vocalist going between the different cultures and finding your voice, your own unique voice, by exploring working with many different musicians and also people from different backgrounds and different artistic backgrounds and different musical backgrounds, and that's why it's incredibly exciting to be here.
Fantastic. Well, that's exactly what we wanted. Arfi, would you like to add anything to this? I mean, I know you selected so many phenomenal vocal professors in the faculty, in the Jazz and Rhythmos, and Merit is one of them because of her.
I'm very lucky to listen and watch and observe lots of different, obviously, people doing amazing things out there, and Merit is one of those that I'd seen a couple of times and thought, project. I was thinking, and then I when we were building the faculty, it was my kind of aim to have many different voices and different looks at how we could create something unique. And Merit was one of those people. So I was very happy when I spoke with Merit and reached out, and she said, yes, I would, definitely be interested. So, for me, it's that wish list that I've been going through, and absolutely amazing. I mean, we've got, an incredible vocal department. Really, there's some absolutely amazing people in there. So it's going to be great. It's going to be really good.
It's going to be wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Merit, for joining us. And I will ask as well, I'll ask everyone to leave after we've been talking, so that we can keep the platform a little bit later, because after almost 4 hours of streaming the studio, and everything is suffering. But thank you so much, Merit. It's been wonderful to have you today. Now I'd like to pass the word to Russell Painter. He's gonna be the Dean of Students. Hello, Russell.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, I've just taken my tie off as I've just been teaching. So I'm here, everyone, basically with two caps on today. One being the Dean of Students. So my job is going through the welfare kind of side of the student life within London, and then also with music theatre as well is my other big passion. So in terms of my career, I started as a cathedral chorister. I then studied classical singing at the Guildhall. Then I swiftly became an examiner for LCM, where I help with the music theatre side of the syllabus for the London College. And then I work in the West End quite a lot as MD, and I MD many shows around the country, and I also keep my hand in with the singing as well.
Well, let me just tell the students, because not everyone knows, but MD stands for music director. And yes, and Russell is a brilliant music director. He's brilliant. Actually, you're brilliant at everything you do, and that's why I thought you wouldn't. No one better than you could be the dean of students to help with the relationship and helping the students to finding their way inside this new conservatoire that is it's gonna be like a little microcosmo. And it's gonna be maybe confusing for someone who doesn't know already, you know, what's their right direction, what's their life and wants to be, their career. And you can help them in understanding the system and the undergraduate, the postgraduate, and above all to feel at home inside this new family that would be the London Performing Academy of Music.
Well, for me, Stefania, the four things that I think are very important in my role is the well-being of the students, the mental health worries. We all know that that's been very, very prevalent over the last 18 months or so. We know that obviously studying does have a huge financial worry to it. That's also something that we will be helping with, and employment insecurity. So it's my kind of job to help with getting the resources for these four things. We're developing lots of advantages between all the colleges within London. Obviously, with us being a relatively new setup, we are liaising with a lot of the top schools in London to help, particularly with these things. With outside activities, the outside liaison services, particularly dealing with the well-being of the students. And also, I think it's very important that the staff as well have training in mental health aid to help deal with not only with the students, but also with everyone. I think that's a very, very important thing, and also to foster that relationship with the other universities. Ensuring that those services remain open and that reminders are given to the students and to the staff. One of my things is to, once we're actually in the physical building, make sure that we actually have a drop-in centre where the students feel that they can come and talk to us. One of my other caps is I work a lot with children with vision impairment, and I know how very important that is for people to be able to communicate. Whereas, as we know, music is absolutely universal, and having dealt with a lot of people who do have some sort of vision or hearing impairment, they really do find that music is a tremendous access for them to really help and develop, and that's something that Stefania and I have been really keen to help promote. Obviously, we understand that London is a very, very new and a very vibrant city. It's a culture and arts hub, but it's the 6th most expensive place to live in the world. So we do understand, quite a lot of us on the team have either studied or lived in London for a time, so we do know the expense. Obviously there are some things that this. The national living wage now is £8.91. When your typical rent in London is astronomical, but obviously we're there to kind of help try and find some solutions to those sorts of problems. And of course, one of the big issues with living in London is finding accommodation. Quite a lot of the music colleges, of course, have accommodation or know round about where to find accommodation. So that's also something that Stefania and I are talking to people about, is where we can find accommodation for the students. Of course, if we had huge amounts of money, we'd buy somewhere. but unfortunately we don't. Unless there's any massive sponsors out there.
Why not? Let's
who want
appeal
give us
to any donor,
yes,
to any big donor that has an empty building that could be Candy.
Yes, who wants to give us lots of money to help with our own accommodation. But I've seen the pictures of the proposed site, and that looks amazing. So with my other head-on guys, in terms of being the Dean of Students, but in terms of the next thing that Stefania and I are really talking about in quite seriousness is to develop the musical theatre side of the academy, and my big aim for that would be to really make sure that we have a huge amount of crossover within musical theatre. Those of you who know musical theatre well know that quite a lot of composers now have branched into this particular style. And I think that with all the wonderful professors that we have on the courses, we can really do a huge range, all from the golden age of musical theatre right up to the really modern stuff. Those of you who know Lin-Manuel Miranda, I mean, his influence with soul and with jazz and with rap, I mean, certainly with the guys on the percussion side and the jazz, would be of great benefit and help with that. So that's one thing that I'm really working on to help to develop that musical theatre course, because what I find is the one thing that I really want with a musical theatre course is the breadth of knowledge. I find that a lot of musical theatre courses tend to be very sort of in their own little bubble and their own box. And why shouldn't we use the great talent that we have amongst the staff to develop the most amazing show? You know, I want to be able to think that we could do a concert of West Side Story, but then in a similar hand that we'd be able to talk to Lin-Manuel Miranda about doing Hamilton. So, you know, why should we be restricted in that? I mean, I saw the wonderful version about 10 years ago when the Royal Academy did Porgy and Bess. And I was absolutely bowled over by that. But you know, I want to be able to encapsulate the whole range of musical theatre and develop a course which will give people the opportunity to take a wider knowledge of the genre and apply it to a lot of the other departments within our academy.
Well, absolutely. We have a wonderful collaboration that we're going to announce soon with Kansley and Leader, that are Kurt Kansley and Oliver Leader, that are superstar from the West End as well, coming with their own new composition and partnership and performing for the musical theatre, and we're also going to develop it into music theatre, creating the new form that we were talking before with Kate Short and Filomena Campus, all because anything that has to do with music and has to do with performance is music theatre, I believe. And in a way, you know, you make music theatre the moment you walk on stage, the moment you choose an outfit, the moment you are announcing to the audience what you're going to perform. So our job won't be just be playing the piano or playing the harp or playing the drums. It's everything together, and we are gonna address these at 360 degrees and allow our students to come out and be confident performers with a proper support mentally and physically as well, with courses in relaxation technique, in Pilates, specific for musicians, developed by Gordon, who is a classical, he was a trombonist of the Philharmonic Orchestra for many years, and then, bassoonist. And so there is so many, and we're going to really approach the music and the performer as a person that is made by body and soul. So yes,
but you like Stefania, you know from great experience how different it is from playing as a solo pianist to then playing piano in a pit band.
Oh, I never played in a pit band.
You know,
I did play
But I mean,
once for the opera.
it is so
I remember.
different.
And I was completely, I was like a fish out of the bowl, yes, for Dimitri Scarlato, that is one of our professor of composition. And I remember he wasn't very happy because he thought I was a very good pianist, and I had no clue that I had to come in before or after. I was like, wow.
But I mean, that's a wonderful skill that's a wonderful skill that we will develop.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a classical pianist, but I play in show bands a lot, and it's a very, very different skill to be able to follow a conductor in a very different way, especially if the conductor is at the piano.
Yes.
You know, to learning where the head movements are and the movements in stuff and vamps and things like that. It's so important for an accompanist to learn that, not just being able to rep for opera and song class, but to be able to know how to work in pit bands.
You're absolutely right. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Russell. We played together. There is this funny thing that we did together a couple of days ago. So people can see us testing the platform and the zero latency there. Now,
my best Julie Andrews.
Yeah, we're gonna do better. We're gonna do better next time. And
of course,
I'm not sure who should I give the word first. Who wants to talk first? Raise your hand.
So Tara.
Tara.
I think it was Tara.
All right, Tara, please. To you.
Oh, you're muted, Tara.
Yep.
I'm going to do the Liam Noble trick. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Oh, there's two of you. Yeah, okay.
I don't really know how...
How do you do that? How did you do that?
Yeah.
We learned a new thing.
Liam did that, and you've not done it. That's amazing.
I don't know how to turn off mute.
I know. Well, you just click the microphone. You got the microphone at the bottom, and that's your toggle microphone.
I only have it in... Hang on a...
Try talking now. Yes. So at the bottom, you got the... Okay.
Oh.
I guess she's gonna come.
Here we are.
Yeah. Very
yes.
Good. Okay.
Right. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Tara. I'm an Aussie, but I live in London.
Uh-huh.
I'm a jazz harpist and a vocalist. I began my life as a music theatre student. So I have training as a musical theatre vocalist, but I ended up in the pit most of the time as a harpist. So there you have it. And then I did lots of exploring as a harpist, you know, finding my voice, finding a way to play the music that I loved, which is jazz. There wasn't really anybody in Australia to teach that at the time. And in fact, it's still quite rare. Then I studied jazz at the Guildhall, which was, wonderful. And here we are. Now I'm a jazz harpist and setist, and I'm also a jazz singer. I sing with the Blues and Roots Ensemble that I know Robert Mitchell is on the Board of Trustees for. But yeah, that's me.
Well, what is wonderful is that, you know, I didn't know that the harp could play in the jazz. Although, I mean, I have to say nowadays, there is why not, isn't it? Why shouldn't the harp be a jazz instrument? So,
very true.
Well, exactly.
John, please mute yourself. John, mute your microphone, please. Do you have headphones?
No, Steve.
It's Steve. Sorry,
It's Steve.
It is Steve, yes. I've just got much longer hair than last time you saw me.
Wonderful.
So
Can you mute yourself? Can you mute
Excuse
yourself?
me?
Steve.
Can I mute myself?
Or when
Just a moment
headphones?
as we talk. Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, do you have headphones?
Oh shit, yes, headphones, sorry, yes.
Arthur, we can hear you twice.
And the mute button is at the bottom of the screen, next to the red button, to the left of the red button.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Very good, bravo, Steve. So yeah, we had the test yesterday, but it was too easy, so that's why today's going like this.
This is what happens when you get jazz musicians on a Zoom together.
This is not Zoom.
No, synchronous.
All right.
Back to what you were saying, Stefania.
Yeah.
There's actually a small but rich history of the harp in jazz, namely Dorothy Ashby and Alice Coltrane.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really active in the 60s and 70s and a little bit before, actually, the 50s.
Ah, wonderful.
And there has been a smattering of jazz in harp in jazz up until the present day. But I feel like now is the time that we should really open the floodgates and have a wave of harpists with different voices, exploring jazz on their instrument and having the opportunity to study at a conservatoire level and not having to go undercover as a vocalist or a trumpeter. For instance, Edmar Castaneda, he studied trumpet in New York. He's not a trumpeter, he's a harpist, but that was the only way he could get an education in jazz.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, I didn't know.
And if I can jump in, Stefania,
yes.
I think as a harpist as well.
So there we are. I'm very excited about the opportunity for harpists to explore the music that they love on their instrument.
Right. 1 second, Tara. There is Ambra. She's on the live studio. She's
I don't know
live.
if Tara can.
No, she cannot hear you.
Tara can hear us. Oh, sorry.
No.
Hello.
I believe it's really fantastic to see also a fellow harpist and somebody that has been exploring so many different genders, and it's fantastic that we give some space to our instruments, not like the instrument of the angels as many people imagine the harpist, but it's something that can be actually played in rock music, in pop music, in jazz. So I'm really looking forward to meeting Tara and create some fantastic collaborations
Okay, I guess something's
together.
happening on the other.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sorry.
Oh.
So Ambra was talking on the live studio because we are streaming to the live studio. And so she's on another platform that you can hear her. And she's an harpist as well. And she said she was very excited to see the harp finally as well into the jazz. And we also have the ancient Greek lyra course with Nikonos that is going to be taught at the London Performing Academy of Music. So really harpists now have the full range and they can start with the traditional course undergraduate and develop into anything they want to. So thank you so much, Sarah. Wonderful to have you today.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna pass the word to who should I? Who shall we? I don't know. Who shall we go?
Sorry,
now?
it was Liam.
Liam. Okay, let's go to Liam then. Liam, to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm on air.
Wonderful.
Okay, so I suppose what I am is a jazz pianist. I've kind of dipped my toes into quite a lot of different kinds of music, and I've tried to reflect that in the way that I teach, in that I don't really have a syllabus. I don't have a set list of skills that I kind of teach people, but I try and find out what it is they want to do and try and kind of facilitate that. And I think it's very important to be led by your instinct, led by your nose about what it is you want to do, because the things that you'll require to know about may be quite different. So that's kind of one side of it. And on the other side, I think there are quite a few core skills that are useful for everybody. You know, I think it's important to have a way to make what you want to do feasible. Like you might want to do music that's quite, in inverted commas, experimental, and then maybe in order to do that, you've got to be able to teach, or you might want to do other music that's more commercial. Or so basically, for me, it's kind of keeping an open mind and bearing in mind that you can find interesting things about music in a lot of different corners. One of the things that I've been doing recently is an online kind of solo gig every couple of weeks from actually where I am now, this salubrious venue, playing quite a lot of pop music, mostly pop music from when I was a kid. So there's a lot of stuff that people my age would like, but it's been an interesting process to try and apply what I've learned from various different other styles of music into playing music that I probably never would have considered playing before. And I think that is something that happens a lot nowadays. There's an incredible mix of stuff, and it's really exciting to be asked to teach in this conservatoire, just because there's such a broad range of teachers within disciplines, but also there's a broad range of disciplines, and there's kind of loads of people that I don't know that it'd be really interesting to find out what they do. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being part of the keyboard, the piano faculty for the jazz. I mean, what we're gonna do, we're really gonna be able to allow students to have classes with you, with Robert Mitchell, and to Steve Beresford as well. All of you, you're not just an incredible pianist, you're also composer, you're also arrangers, you're an improviser, and there would be so much more to your course and to your contribution to the LPMAM. There won't be just be how to be a good pianist. So thank you so much, Liam. Steve, would you like to say something about this? I mean, you are an incredible pianist, you are a composer, you have a very long, brilliant career.
Wow. Well, that's very nice of you to say so. Thank you very much. In a way, that can be summed up by the fact that I'm just incredibly old. So over those decades of work, I've just bumped into people whose music I like. And some of them have actually agreed to work with me, which seems incredible to me to this day. So somehow, yeah, I've worked with lots of people. I mean, actually, most people know. Oh, Roland and Orphy I work with in many contexts. I mean, for instance, yeah, hi Roland, yeah. For instance, Orphy was on a soundtrack I did for a movie that was not received very gratefully by the viewing public, but we had a lot of fun. And it was a kind of homage to Bollywood, which was something I knew very little about. But I got to work with, obviously, lots of amazing Indian musicians, working with Indian string sections, stuff like that. I'm working with dancers, so this is a musical. And it's an homage to Bollywood, which are, Bollywood movies are always musicals, so you have to write the music before they shoot the music, the movie, so that the choreographer can get the beat and stuff like that. All this is new to me, and it was extremely educational on all sorts of levels, on human levels, technological levels, musical levels. That's just one example, but I work with I worked with Prince Farai, in a very, very strange session in London, where I couldn't understand a word he was saying, but I just kept saying, yeah, fine, okay, I'll do that. because he had a very, very, very deep voice. Famously, Prince Farai's voice was enormously deep.
Yeah, quite
And
scary voice. Yeah,
very scary.
Scary.
Although actually, one of my favourite tracks is called Bedwood the Flying Preacher, and it's a story about Bedwood who who jumps off the roof of the church because he says God will help him to fly, and guess what? He lands on the floor and dies. And that's the punchline of the so you get incredible mixes, and I've worked with amazing improvisers, because really, whatever I am, I'm not a jazz musician. So presumably that's one of the reasons that you had me, because you've got somebody who doesn't play jazz. I'm a free improvising musician. I love jazz, and I probably know an awful lot about it just because I'm such an anal retentive. I have 1 billion records of jazz and listen to them. So I know about jazz. And Thelonious Monk is probably my favourite composer and my favourite piano player of all time. So, it's not like I don't have an emotional attachment. And it certainly means that I could talk to piano players about how you play it. I went through University of Westminster, desperate to understand what bebop piano players did with their left hand. There were several jazz piano players at University of Westminster who flatly refused to tell me. So you see, my experience in further education was actually quite painful, and I was always coming up against these brick walls and people asking me to do stuff that I didn't understand anything about. So I sympathise with people who might be having that problem. I think I might be able to use my experience in an alienating educational environment, being a kind of victim of it in a small way, to maybe help people get through that, and to find out what they want to do, but also to make it clear, to lay it, I just wrote down laying out possibilities. I think that's a very important thing that you can do.
Beautiful, and that's absolutely, I think those are the best words, laying out possibilities. That's exactly what we want to do at LPMAM. Well,
I had that feeling, yeah.
Wonderful. Roland is going to be the head of Woodwind for the jazz department. Would you like to say something about these, about playing with Steve and Arfi, for example, and where you're leading? I mean, you come from a classical background, and you are still also composing and performing classical, and being an incredible jazz flutist and composer. Roland? Might be that I need to refresh my page. I hope.
Roland, you're on mute.
Okay.
Are you on, Roland?
Okay, now we're on.
I'm doing.
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes, better. Yes.
Oh, I couldn't undo the silly thing. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Now
I've forgotten the question.
The fact that you come from a classical background and then classical, and you are still there because you still compose and perform classical, but you're also jazz, and you've been playing with Steve, who as well, says he's not a jazz musician. So, would you like to talk about your career and what you're going to bring to LPMAM?
I mean, the way it all started out for me is I never from the get-go stuck to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was always delving into other musics as far back as I can remember, because I started having piano lessons when I was about 6-7 years old, and just had this insatiable appetite for various types of music, and would just absorb things fully. I was buying records at 8-9 years old,
mm-hmm.
and going to libraries, getting scores out.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to see how composers created some of the great music I was hearing. So it kind of stemmed from that, and it was a really fortunate period in time because we had something called ILIA, which was Inner London Education Authority. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be playing music. I wouldn't be a professional musician. It gave us a lot of support. It gave us, it provided us with instruments. I was able to go on music courses. I was able to join certain young musicians institutions, if you like. So that was a huge plus. Not only that, but there was just lots of opportunities around at the time. So, for instance, sort of after I'd been playing the flute for a year, someone heard me in a music shop trying out a flute, and went up to my dad and said, "Is it your son?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I run this rehearsal big band. Why don't you bring him along?" And that was my exposure to jazz. It was a person called Phil Revens who played flugelhorn, and in his loft he had this big band playing up there. And in fact, that's where I first heard Fires, and was blown away by him. But so at that stage, I was able to read music. So I was reading the charts and just listening, and picking up from the other musicians what you need to do in jazz. So I was learning sort of like first hand, if you like, and then things sort of flowed one from to the other, because just around the corner from where I lived in Stoke Newington, there's a pub, which Alfie probably knows really well. Pegasus, was it Pegasus? And there was a
Yes.
big band that used to rehearse in the back room. Brian Booth used to.
Brian Booth, yeah, I did his orchestra as well.
There you go, exactly. So another learning curve, and I was able to, hone in on reading music and start improvising, taking the plunge. And then at City Lit, it was Kathy Stobart. She was running a rehearsal band there, and went through lots of different styles of jazz. So that was, on one hand, that was all happening, and then I was fortunate to auditioned and managed to get into the Centre for Young Musicians. So again, that was like a thorough grounding in music, where you'd have general musicianship, theory in music, and history in music. And then on the practical side, you'd be singing in a choir, you'd be playing in a symphonic wind band, you'd be in a piano lab. So it was a real good grounding, and you're alongside other youngsters who are just brilliant players. so it kind of spurred me on, and had excellent flute tuition, because the one main, although I was getting into jazz and getting into classical music, I really wanted to have the facility to play the flute well. I wanted to have as good a technique as I could, and also I wanted to improve my musicianship, my musicality. And they had great teachers at the Centre for Young Musicians, the original Centre for Young Musicians, which was at Pimlico School. And I had Harold Clark to start with, who was head of wind at Trinity College of Music, and also principal flute of the Sellers Wells Royal Ballet. And then went on to learn with Catherine Lucas, who's originally from Chicago. And the things I really loved about her is that she was one of the foremost contemporary classical musicians in the UK, Europe, and was constantly on the radio. And I was just so excited to learn with her, because it meant I could get into contemporary music also, not just learning the canon of the classical music world. So she was very inspiring, and taught me a lot of new things, and took me into a world of extended techniques and other techniques.
Extended techniques.
It opened my ears up.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we are gonna do, and what you are a perfect example of, you and Steve, of opening your minds and eyes and ears to different sounds, and create something that is new, that could be called jazz in the literal sense of the word, that is something that is putting together different things, basically. I think that's what is going to be our jazz department.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just sort of like just keep extending the range of possibilities. And also, you know, even drawing from non-Western musics as well.
Yes,
And
yes.
combining those things with our contemporary ideas.
Absolutely.
But in jazz, I'd also like to go right back, because with Liam, who was here earlier, we did this series earlier on last year during the summer, and Liam took part in it, and we kind of like was aligning the music that kind of like started off jazz, and we aligned it to the virus, actually, in the stages of the virus. And what was really wonderful about that is that we went right back to work songs and field hollers, and drawing inspiration from those musics. And it's something I think many of us is kind of like neglected or forgotten about, or haven't really tapped into so much. And I think it'd be good to go back to those places and really draw as much as we can from those musics, which were at the roots of jazz, as well as spirituals.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Wonderful.
And until we head into New Orleans jazz.
Fun.
So can we go over to Gary, who has some time constraints as well?
Yes, please. Yes.
Oh, you're muted, Gary.
I think Gary has some.
Okay. I have some time restraints, so I think I have to leave you. But that was great. It was lovely to see everybody. Very inspiring, and thank you for what you said. And I'll talk to you later. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, Gary, do you manage to unmute yourself? Oh, sorry, I keep moving the wrong thing. Gary, do you know what is the microphone? It's just next to the red button at the bottom. You got a red button that is to come in and out of the room, and that you've done before, and then you have the microphone button.
Do you want to go in and out?
Try coming in and out. We're almost at the end of our second open day. It's been almost 4 hours. We're almost there. Gary, how about you click the red button and then you come back in. Sean, you need to go. Leave me. We're at the end and I'm talking. Just go. Pick up.
No, you'd have to come in and out again, I think, Gary. Probably have to click to go out and then come back in. Oh, do you want to jump in, Robert? And then Gary will come back in.
Hello. Thanks.
Hi there, Rob.
Great to be. Nice one, Roland, Orphe, Stefania. For students tuning in, you've seen the professors learn how this system is so complex but brilliant. So no, a real pleasure to be here and to be asked. I have I'm seated amongst some of the music that belonged to me dad, and that was a big part of how I was able to start. I was very lucky to hear pianists come over to the house and rehearse with him, and then to play with him. Those were my first gigs before doing anything on the jazz and all sorts of different scenes. And added to that, there's a wonderful piano teacher living round the corner, and I mean like literally a minute away. So I was with her, the amazing Mrs. Robertson, for about 12 years. So I had a lot of from spirituals. It's great, Roland mentioning that, through to musicals and the love and worship, literally, of people like Harry Belafonte and Paul Robeson, and beyond their amazing musical achievements. It's the wider things they were doing in their careers, through acting, through activism, through defending themselves in the Supreme Court in America, whatever was a part of these kind of legends' lives. So a lot of inspiration from very young. But it was for me getting into the jazz and the improvising, and seeing the likes of Courtney. See what I did there? Roland, Mark, and Mike Mondesi on TV in the 80s, and seeing that I was learning an instrument, and not only did they look like me, in many cases they're from like round the corner as well. So it's I'm not involved. How do I get involved in this? So I took a slightly longer route by going to the wonderful City University, which was a combined course with getting piano lessons at the Guildhall. So I had a couple of worlds combined there, and through that I got to meet some amazing folk who led me to a band called Quite Sane, and further on to the Jazz Warriors themselves. So I turn up the same day as the wonderful Harry Brown, a trombone prof, and we were there hanging on to each other in the corner of the room, rehearsing for the first time, being blown away that you can have a dream, and it doesn't take that long really with determination to start to get in the room with people who were making such amazing music and art firstly, but also inroads into the public consciousness. So it's a real pleasure to be asked to be involved. Orphe called me, God, it feels like, I don't know, it was like a couple of years or something. I know it's these things fly, but considering the total time it's taken to put this academy together, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think I was thanking you yesterday, but I think we will be every day we do this, because through a number of years, it's coming up to 30 on various scenes, and traveling to all sorts of places, putting out a few albums now, but also acting as a promoter where necessary, agent, writing liner notes, interacting with all sorts of different facets of the thing. It will be great being involved at a place that is not only new and young, but very, very 21st century in its thinking, and with all the various types of craziness going on around the world, all the instability, let alone the added crazy pandemic effects. We have to have courses like this which tap into a wide variety of perspectives, options, experiences, so that you come out with being opened, rather than one way of thinking, because we don't know what software platforms we're going to have to be learning to use to do a gig next week or tomorrow, let alone what we're going to actually play. So I look forward to encouraging people's individual voices to working various specifics through which, however syllabus and tune choices go. I have a known mania with left-hand only piano as well, from all sorts of genres, so we could be going anywhere. And as someone recently getting involved in relative terms in conservatoire teaching, although I've been teaching for a good while, I've also been doing some talks on various tour and gig experiences, putting certain things together, and also interviewing too. So we all have a lot of amazing, eminent friends who I think it'd be good to share their experiences and to see the workings that we may not see, even as fans of musicians. We don't really know the full backstories of how things come to be. There isn't always time, there isn't always space, but in this era of the endless size of blogs and video space online, etc., and platforms like this, I think it's a really good time, we will get there and get this tech to work smoothly, to do way beyond even this. You know, it's frightening what's coming up in the next few years. And just personally, it's so great to see, you know, so many so many friends and associates with the word professor or head of department in front of their name as we travel around the world and see direct contemporaries, you know, doing this and being lauded for all the stuff they've been, you know, been putting out there as artists in the various ways that, you know, many countries do treat their artists. It's not all the same. So this is really good, really good to see this, and I hope those who have been signing in and watching, and the messages I've seen online in response to the earlier, you know, podcasts and broadcasts and Zoomcasts you've been doing, you know, are reflecting the obvious excitement that there is, you know, around this, and that they come, you know, knocking the door down to come in. So yeah, thanks for asking, and looking forward to all.
A door that is now open to the world thanks to the platform. That is what this platform is doing. So, I mean, in this very moment, is the four of us, and we have a good internet connection, and we are in a good setting, and so it's working fine. Yes. Unfortunately, we couldn't test with some of the people that have been connecting with the phone, for example.
It does.
It does work one-to-one, but when you start to be 4 or 5, we were 8 at the same time, of course, and we're also streaming live.
It'll get better. Yeah.
That's the thing. I think here in this room, in this very moment, we have a very strong connection. But if there is someone with a lower connection is dragging everyone else down. But you know, ultimately, everyone will have the 5G, and then there will be a 6G, and this will be so easy. We might even have holograms. You know, we might be in the same room with the hologram of each other and being able to see completely. You know, so that's what we want to do. We're gonna have this incredible technology department that is gonna push our ideas and our dreams forward. We're gonna make dreams come true. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Oh, you know the Spirio piano, you know from
yes, I do.
not to advertise, but yeah.
No, I do very well.
Kind of things are moving all the time. So is Chris going to make it? And has anyone played?
We didn't play then. Today, no one played.
Nobody's played. If you'd like to play,
I'll do a tiny
Please.
What's going on? Go. Because it's the thing, you know. In testing all this out, you know, the first time my LPMAM platform training with Stefania from 2 or 3 months ago, we actually played a little bit, you know, jam together, and it's frightening, you know. I can sort of do it. There's so many variables, but it already is at a latency that's so.
Well, I can play with you, and you can jam on me because I don't know how to jam on you. That's the problem. So I don't know the other way around. So
because I'm going to run. Honestly, I'm not just chickening out, but I'll play a little. It's a tiny bit of a piece called Kintsugi. Unless, did you have something?
No. Go for it. No.
Just to test, just see what it, you know, see, and hopefully it will. You'll hear. So. Dear, it's getting tuned on Wednesday.
Oh yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
See,
Okay,
absolutely
I'm gonna go.
beautiful.
I thought everyone was doing it. I don't know.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone because we are basically at the end of today, and I'm gonna go back to the live studio. Thank you so much, Robert. It's been wonderful listening to you performing.
Nice one. Great one, guys.
Thank you, Roland, for being with us, and Arfi, our Dean of
My pleasure.
Jazz Ritmos, above all for helping me behind the scene as well. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Wonderful. And if, of course, the recording is gonna be kept on our LPMAM YouTube channel and Facebook page, and feel free to ask questions and send us email to info or registry@lpmam.com, and we are looking forward to welcoming you all at LPMAM. Thank you so much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Ambra, back to you.
Eccoci.
So we did it. We finished an incredible second open day of the LPMAM.
Okay. Are we still live or?
We're still
Maybe?
live. And
I think
I'm gonna.
so.
Yeah, we are. And I just wanted to say goodbye and thank to you for your wonderful help today.
Thank you, Stefania. It was my pleasure, and I think it was a fantastic day. It was really incredible to discover all these answers, and I'm really looking to mix up all this fantastic gender and explore and create new. I'm really excited about all the professors, and so we're looking forward to the new students to join LPMAM. I would also remember that all the courses for this is online, so it will be possible to follow and attend lessons from wherever you are in the world. That is something really amazing, because especially if you are working or a lot of time, you can actually still attend all the courses and get your music diploma, your postgraduate, undergraduate, advanced course diploma, and I think, Stefania, there are also some short courses available, no?
There is also short courses available for students that already have their music degrees and they don't need an extra degree, for example, so they will have certificates of attending if they want to specialize, for example, taking courses in opera management like your course, or music business in arranging, composing, and or in, for example, jazz harp that we just saw, and or the ancient Greek lira. So there is many opportunities. The best would be to go through all the faculties and read their curriculum, because in their website, because they all do so much more than what is just written on the website, summarized just for the space of where we are. But there is opportunities to open and widen your horizons musically and performing, and thinking as well. So you're all very welcome to explore the London Performing Academy of Music. Thank you then. Goodbye. I can.
Bye-bye.